Good afternoon, morning, evening, whatever time it might be for you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the third season of the Pan American Trackmania Championship. My name is Acronator, and I'll be one of your casters for today, as well as the producer for the stream. I'm joined by the one, the only, Critty.
Hi, lovely to be here once again to witness how the North and the South will face each other in the Pan American Trackmania Championship. It's gonna be a good time as well. We've already seen some absolute unhinged drafting being done for the matches as well, especially if you already have seen the title of the stream of what we are about to see. But that's in a bit of a moment as we can get through the rest of the things. Maybe give a bit of an introduction to how we actually got to this point to begin with, to be honest.
Yeah, so we have quite a few players that have qualified from the South American Cup, from the North American Cup. We do have a few replacements from people who couldn't make it, notably Leleo Faraz couldn't make it, as well as Manox couldn't make it from the South American Cup, so we have Nats and Rookie replacing them. And then Tankrom couldn't make it from the North American Cup, so Stokeine is going to be replacing him. But other than that, we have the 8 players from those 2 regional tournaments, and then we have 22 other players who have qualified. Players like Jampy, players like Dummy, actually players like Neal because he couldn't make it to the North American Cup. And then the 8 players who come from the other 2 tournaments who pre-qualified in got to draft their lobbies, which is what makes this one in particular that we're going to be watching so interesting by Nix.
Yep, that is definitely true because Nixotica just woke up today and thought, you know what, if I want to beat the best, I gotta actually pick them to play against them as well to begin with. Because yeah, the first matchup today is gonna be well, and of course it is a double elim, so at least we know that from the first matchup between Nixotica, Neal, Jumpy, and Dummy, one of those, well, 2 of those will go into the lowers. So that means either Nixotica, Neal, and Jumpy have to decide which one of them goes into the lowers. And the fun fact is that Nixotica just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna pick the top 2 fastest players from the 22 that he had to pick from, and just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna have fun.
Yep, pretty much. And actually, speaking of speed and how fast these players are, we do have 2 different maps. If you've been watching the South American Cup and the North American Cup, you're going to recognize Corian by Mephisto, Emerald by CLM or Clem, Golden Hour by Manox. But we do have 2 new maps, Garlic Bread by, I believe, Sully, and then Bioreactor by Ski Freak and Agraboo, which it wouldn't be the PATC without a Ski Freak and Agraboo map, I feel like, at this point. It's just a tradition.
Yeah, but honestly, I have another complaint to the meta community,
sure.
because there's a very strong thing. What have I said throughout the South American Cup, the North American one? If it doesn't have ice in it, it's not a Trackmania tournament. Where is the ice, ladies and gentlemen? There's not even a hint of it. There's a finish block on Golden Hour. Technically, it's a bobsleigh block. But where's the ice, ladies and gentlemen? Nowhere to be seen. Clearly shows people are afraid. They're absolutely skill issued on this thing, and clearly North and South America cannot drive ice. It's officially now confirmed by this tournament.
Well, I mean, if you ask me, they're going to get skill issued enough by Manox's map Golden Hour, but we'll get to that for those who aren't aware. There's a lot of clipping to be had on that map, as well as Emerald. People just tend to hate that second half. So we do have most of the players in the lobby. I'm waiting for Nixotica, funnily enough, to hop in before we actually head over to the in-game POV. But yeah, no real ice, no genuine ice to be seen this time around. Maybe Randomize will fix that for the Duo Cup, because this is going to share at least part of that map pool. Maybe bring both of the ice maps back into one tournament. I'm sure the players would be thrilled.
Oh, definitely, absolutely joyous come together as well. Maybe you build a map that has 2 ice slides. Honestly, would be absolutely wild. But I do see that all the players have now joined the server as well, and but I will actually throw a bit of a baton over to you as well, basically saying who of the 2 will be going through the upper bracket, and who will be the 2 unfortunate to go into the lowers.
I think the safe prediction here is going to be Nixotica and Neal finding their way through the upper bracket. Jampy and Dummy are great players, but at the same time, It's Nix and Neal. If you know the North American scene, especially, or just NCSA in general, they're some of the best players in the region. Nix drives like a bat out of hell. Neal is just consistently insane. And while Jampy has funny car skins, which we might get to see, I didn't get a chance to see if his thing loaded in at all. Looks actually relatively tame. I don't think that's a default country one. But, and then Dummy, of course, risks quite a lot to less success than Nix, but it would be a massive upset if Jampy and or Dummy made it through instead of one of the Damascus fellas.
That is indeed true, but I'm gonna go with the wild one in here. Basically, I'm gonna say that Nixotica is gonna absolutely eat his own karma in this one, and I think Neal and Jumpy will be the ones going to the upper candidate, and all of that Nixotica's unhinged picking will come to bite him in the ass this time. But we'll see. I just want to see absolute chaos, and if this is the match that we're gonna start off today, especially we're gonna start off on Emerald of all things as well. It's gonna be an absolute bloodbath, and I'm interested to see, especially on the newer maps, where the confidence is, because those are probably the key ones. These are the maps that they are known for, even if you haven't maybe practiced them heavily. You should get them, going slowly as the rounds progress. But we'll have to wait and see. But for the time being, at least, well, there's only one thing to do, and that is to get into the action.
Yep, certainly, and as we saw from the warm-up there, pretty much the second half that players hate, from all the chatting that I've observed, is pretty much anything after that half-pipe jump. That's where you're going to start to see the most mistakes. Everyone seems to universally love this first portion of the map. It's really simple mistakes, if anything. You can see Dummy getting a little bit of an awkward gear there, so he's going to fall a bit further behind, and right now it's pretty much the top three neck and neck.
Yeah, nothing to really separate. It is Jumpy, Neal, Nixotica sort of hanging out together, trying to decide who will get those first few points. Jumpy gets a bit of a bump, but that shouldn't do too much to him. This is basically going to come down to who gets the lowest quarter pipe jump, and everybody's sending it. Neal gets a bit of a clip there, so he's the one that has to give away to Nixotica and Jumpy. But will Jumpy be able to take over Nixotica in the end, unless he goes for an absolute Hail Mary? I think Nixotica has it, but he is not really going to get there. 54.5. Of course, the world record on this is by Charles, 54.138. So already going pretty strong, 54.5s. That is a very nice round time to begin with. And Nixotica takes the lead for now.
And actually, speaking of world records and top fives of the leaderboard in general, you're going to see a lot of Neal, Nixotica, Charles, Noiszia is also in there quite a bit. Jampy is in there for at least one map. Manox is in there, although he's not participating in this event. So that's another reason as to why Neal and Nix are generally considered the favorites here. But Jampy has a lot of potential as that dark horse. I say that, and he's currently in the lead just by a little tiny bit. Nix must have clipped somewhere, so he's a little bit further back into third place. Gives us a good perspective of the top two right now, though.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, if we look at the PVs of all the players, then they are pretty much neck and neck, only a tenth to separate Jumpy, Neal and Nixotica, but there's a lot more to separate Neal from that quarter pipe. Again, not really fondly having good times at the moment there, as Jumpy is looking to take full advantage of it and get those 10 points on the board. But yeah, it is, of course, Dummy will beat that dark horse throughout this entire ordeal. Because everybody else will be gathering points, but if he can, deny a few more then and there, this could get, a bit more spicier towards the end, because we are playing towards 120 points, cup mode. That is also that we didn't mention before as well, so 120 points is to reach. Finalist mode can always throw in a spanner or two there, and who knows what might happen, but for the time being, Nixotica and Jumpy are enjoying a comfortable lead after 2 rounds.
I'm going to keep the camera on Neal for a good portion of this round, because pretty consistently in the last 2 rounds, he's been up towards the front top 2, leading up to the half-pipe jump, and every single time he's failed the half-pipe jump in some way. A small clip, okay, well he clips a little bit before this time around. Dummy, I think, hits the wall there as well, but retains enough speed. But Neal seems to really not like this half-pipe, because maybe he can get it clean this time. Okay, yeah, he does, and his teammate in Damascus is actually the one who does the little clip there. Jampy keeping it extremely clean. Dummy actually fighting for some points this time around. He desperately needs them.
Yeah, but that is what I said. And Nixotica fails the finish entirely. and
Oh
has to
no.
go for the safe finish as well. But this is what I said, Dummy. He does have the pace, and he can definitely, get in there. A few touches there, mistakes in and there. Absolutely. Also a .3 by Jumpy as well, I believe, in that one as well. Very fast as well. 3.64 for a bounce time, so he was definitely feeling it in that one. So very good points, and puts him in a very good position as well. But I like I said beforehand as well, I think where the crux of this tournament will separate the best from the rest is those two new maps, because this is familiar territory for all of these players. They've driven these maps a lot of times, and even if they haven't practiced them a lot, it will come to them like riding a bike, basically.
Probably, right? I don't know how much Neal had trained because he couldn't participate in NAC, so a lot of these maps might be new for him. Jampy gets a little bit of a clip though, so it's really just Damascus Gaming up in the lead right now. Both of them seem to take it rather safe on the half pipe, but after the last couple of rounds they've had, I don't blame them. Neal currently in the lead. He very much needs those 10 points. He's currently tied for last with Dummy, and it looks like he should get it cleanly enough. Dummy a whole 10 seconds behind. He must have just been completely in the mud back there as we were watching the top three. But Jampy gets at least that 4 points. I think still is in the lead. I don't think Nix can quite catch up to him. Yeah, sure enough.
Yeah, it's proving to be a very close affair at the moment, as Neal is the one to take a bit of a backseat of the top three titans fighting at the moment. But we are actually moving on to one of the new maps, and it is going to be Bioreactor. So now Bioreactor will be on display here, and now this is the track that has the biggest gaps between these four players. You have Nixotica with a .3, you have Neal with a .7, Champy with a .9, and Dummy, well, has technically a 2.8, so he's a second even further behind those three. So a lot of gaps in between, but this is, in my opinion, the most difficult track out of all of them, bar none, to be honest.
Again, it wouldn't be PATC without a Ski Freak and Agrabah map, although usually I think in the past they've done maps separately. When they combine forces, it's just sadistic. They are good maps, but they're hard as hell. And you can see that here. I mean, even in the warm-up, people are crashing left and right and clipping. And yep, well, you know what? I'm going to blame Neal for not having a little dream catcher by his desk or something, because it's on the players to deal with the caster curse. It's not our responsibility. We have to talk. That's what we're here to do. So, warm-up just about to be over. Now it's the real time to put the pedal to the metal and not clip like they just did.
Yep, that is the time to do it as well. Also, I noticed the rings as well around it. I will say it's a very aesthetically pleasing track, that's for sure. I'm also a fan. I've used these big rings, these purple ones. Well, not purple, but I've used some other type as well in the same likeness as well. Very aesthetically pleasing. Tommy hitting the corner there, that is definitely not aesthetically pleasing. But Neal is the one to take the helm for now on Bioreactors. Jumpy and Nixotica, you can see.
Oh, Neal.
But as soon as I say that he's in the lead, he now finds himself in third position.
Already have Nixotica gaining a little bit here on Jampy. He's risking a lot on these corners, but it seems like Jampy's holding strong in that first place for the time being. There's a lot of track left. This is, I believe, the longest track. If not, it's the second longest in the map pack. So there is quite a ways to go. Nix looking for more speed here, getting dangerously close to that outside, coming into this little rally dirt section. Not rally car, but rally blocks per se. Nix has a lot of speed. He's going to overtake Champy, but he takes a much wider line. Is Champy going to be able to retain first place? Just barely. 31 thousandths ahead, but he keeps that 10 points and gets a little bit further ahead into that first place.
That is a good one as well. Nixotica was trying to go for the wider line, but didn't work out quite, as Neal does get across the line just in time. But Jumpy is the one to take the lead, and the Damascus boys are the ones scrambling for second position. But Jumpy definitely feeling a lot more confident, at least to begin with, which is very good to see, as at least to some extent my prediction is going halfway right. We'll see if the other part comes to fruition. My prediction game has been quite strong, at least when I was doing so for Comic-Con as well. I just went for a bit of too much of a risk in the ECM pick'ems. In the end, lost myself a monitor because of that. So sad times for me. But regardless of my pick'ems and everything, we see at the moment again Jumpy just losing at the moment.
He's still leading by quite a bit. Honestly, it's crazy to see him be this consistently fast. You do see Nixotica clipped somewhere along the line, so now it's Jampy versus Neal. Take your pick of the Damascus fellas that are fighting for that first place spot. They certainly need more points to catch up. Jampy's honestly been quite impressive. I was not expecting him to pull out all the stops like this. Neal clips the inside of the hole just a little bit, so Jampy claims another free 10 points. Not quite free, but you know what I mean. And Dummy, trailing up the rear, is only now breaking through 20 points.
Well, he does get the points on the board, you know. That's the most important part that he has to do at the moment. Nothing fancy at the moment. If he can somehow, like I said, if he can snipe a few points, that's a few points less than the top 3 would have loved to have. So that's the case as well. But we see that Dummy does continue his streak of enjoying the back view for the time being. So again, the top 3 are fighting, brawling it out. It's going to be a case all the way throughout, basically. Like we said, this is going to be just a tighter match of who goes through, and currently Neal and Nixotica are enjoying a bit of, you know, bit of fresh air, because there isn't a car in front of them ruining it, because Jumpy is actually a bit of on a slower ride at this moment, but this track can just toss and throw you in all kinds of directions, and you can just lead time just with every corner, and you can see that in action in this round as Jumpy's trying to somewhat catch up, but it's just not working out whatsoever.
If anything, he's losing time a little bit here and there. Nixotica going again for the wider approach. Neal going very inside. I think he might have clipped the hole. I'm going to say he did, because he lost the lead at the very finish there. Nixotica will get another 10 points. And despite the fact that Jampy's kind of running away with this right now, the battle between Damascus right now in this lobby is kind of close.
Yeah, that is indeed true, but we of course have to keep in mind that no matter how safe it looks right now, it is the fact that, ooh, I did notice somebody had a bit of a touch, and it is Jumpy to falter at the moment. So his streak of good runs is coming to a bit of an end, but if there is one map that maybe, you know, you want to get as many points as possible, especially on these newer maps, the Garlic Bread, and but Nixotica also touches, so Jumpy is the one to get back into the mix of things, and Dummy is in second position trying to hold out the back to chasing him at the moment. So Neal could be looking to get some 10 pointers on the board, which would help him very much close up the distance between Nixotica.
Dummy having a little bit of a gear issue back there on the grass, so you can see Jampy already catching up, and actually Nixotica, I can hear him behind as well. He's not too far behind, but he might be stuck in that third, fourth place position. Neal very safely up in the lead. Dummy takes a lot of penalty grass and falls down into the fourth place. Neal taking a very safe approach. I think he almost clipped the line. Still, Dummy tries to overtake, but is still just relegated to fourth place time and time again, while everyone else is just starting to create that gap.
Yep, and I love to check some of the in-game chat as well, and Dummy immediately writes that you all caught up to me, and really meant. So man was really trying to get those points on the board, and this is what I mean, you know. Even if he just gets into one of those a few rounds, it causes trouble for the rest of the players who are behind him, because they have to now push hard, because they need those points. They cannot really fall behind that much more, but we do find ourselves on Korian, which has produced some legendary moments, to say the least, especially that final part. We've seen tears, we've seen joy, we've seen absolutely the most insane clips from this track, especially towards the end. So I'm looking forward to what these four can produce us.
Kind of similar to Ski Freak and Agraboo. It feels wrong if we don't have a Mephisto map in PATC. I think he's crowned the victor last time around. Carl Jr. won on the other Mephisto map in PATC Season 2. I don't remember if we had one in Season 1. I don't think we did, but his maps have always been really interesting, shall we say, depending on who you ask, right? The spectators, the tournament organizers, the production crew love him. The players, maybe not so much. You can see Nixotica showing off the safe finish there. The risky was off to the right, little hole that you just jump towards. Not really the risky part. The risky part is not getting reactor up on that final penalty grass section.
Yeah, that is indeed true. But Mephisto is a mapper with tons of experience, and even to this day, he can still take it. He can still produce such good magic here, and he has produced probably one of the more entertaining maps of this tournament, to say the least. And as you rightly said, maybe not as entertaining for the players, but definitely for us as a viewing experience. But for the time being, we can see Dummy is having a bit of an extra warm-up round, as the rest of the players are warming up or gearing up to see how many points they're gonna get on the board from the first round of this, as everybody has a bit of a different approach to these segments. You do want to get good exit speed, but Neal is the one that seems to have gotten the most out of it. But Jumpy gets a bit of a clip, Neal gets a bit of a clip, and all of a sudden Nixotica shoots his way to first position and looking to get some good points as Jumpy hits the wall as well. And this is what I mean, this track is just a magnet for everybody.
By the way, folks, if you want to understand how difficult these tracks actually are, as long as you have like a paid access to Trackmania, you can go to the NCSA regional Discord and go to PATC Season 3 or something like that. It's like the most recent one that you can find, the highest number in the list. And the campaign is right there. You can try these maps out for yourself. This one in particular is brutal. There's a lot of places that you can mess up if you're off the line. And that's kind of a given. It's a Mephisto map, but still, like, you don't fully understand how hard this map is because these players are really good. Like, these four in particular are really good players.
Yeah, it's.
I say that, and Dummy crashes.
Well, let's say like Dummy is trying. He's still a very good player, but he's definitely. I think he knows that he's put into a in a cage match. He's the he has fists. Everybody else has I don't know. It's just absolutely an arsenal of weapons against his fists at the moment. So he's definitely the underdog here, but like I said, he can definitely do a few upsets if he wants to. He can produce the pace, but he just has to really get it going. But for the time being, it is a 3-horse race this time. No mistakes so far, as the front three are going into the section. This time Jumpy doesn't make the mistake. Neal gets the corner right. Everybody gets it, and yeah, that's Jumpy. As clean of a round as you're gonna.
Yeah.
Neal gets a bit of an experience of, if you want to go really tight into the ring finish, do not hit the wall, but at least it's very lenient in how you finish.
Yeah, surprisingly, the risky finish isn't quite the riskiest part of the map, which is nice. I'm glad Mephisto took pity on some of these players. Jumpy there towards the he almost crashed the same place twice, but he was like pixels away. Okay, well, he crashed a different place now, as Ashes would say, new mental lock unlocked. Meaning he now knows where not to crash by doing it once. But we do have Damascus Gaming up in the front. Jumpy and Dummy are in the mud, so we're just going to stick with Nixotica for now, because he's in second place.
Yep, it's going to be a 2-horse race. If all things stand at the moment, let's say if Neal gets first, Nixotica gets second, and Jumpy gets a third in this round, then basically we have a position where there's going to be Neal on 73, Jumpy on 71, and Nixotica on 71. So the point cap will go close instantly from this round. But that all depends if Neal is able to hold on here and no funny business happens. But Neal, cool, calm, collected this match and this map. 0.5 as well driven. Just to give a reference, the world record here is a 102.064 by Charles. It is half a second off, but keep in mind, this is the longest track in the campaign. And to drive half a second off in rounds on a track that is longer than a minute is very impressive, because you really still need to push the corners even to stay within touching different distance of the world record here.
Did someone just... Okay, yeah, Neal clipped something. I thought I saw a car just like fly backwards, and sure enough, yep, it looks like Jumpy also clipped. So it's really Dummy and Nixotica up in the front, but Nix risking a lot. He's going for so much speed in these turns, and you could see it pays off almost instantly. I mean, we're on the perspective of Dummy right now in second place, although I think I hear a car coming up towards him. I think that might be Jumpy in the distance. But Nix, he knows how to risk. Sometimes a little bit too well for his own good, but it's working right now, at the very least. And you can see the points, minus Dummy, who kind of has the inverse of Neal. They're all so close right now that Nix getting these 10 points, and if Dummy keeps second place, Nix is going to bump up a little bit in those overall standings for this series.
Oh, that's gonna be a good shot as well. I assume he has quickly checked the gap as well. I'm sure he's still pushing because usually the most comfortable way to drive is to drive with full wrist because that's the way you practice to drive. And we can see that Dummy gets 6 points, and as you rightly said, that is a few less points than Jumpy and Neal are used to as well. And, Dummy gets a few points, boosting his stats as well. And you can see 81, 76, 76, putting them all close by as well. But we do move on to the next map, which is gonna be the other new map in the pool, the Garlic Bread by Sully. Now, honestly, when I first tried this track, I definitely loved this quite a bit. It's not the most difficult track as well. It flows well. You can have very good rounds here. There's nothing obscenely that sticks out like a sore thumb. I will say, the second half of the track can get a bit tighter in many regards. So there are many points where you will have to sort of dodge and bob and weave just not to hit something. But overall, I definitely enjoy this track. It's slowly become one of my favorites. Whether the players will agree, well, we'll have to wait and see.
Depends on how good they do on it, I suppose, how many points they can steal away. If someone gets a solid 40 points, if Nixotica hits finalists because of this map, then I'm sure he'll say he loves it too. But we'll have to wait and see. We got about 20 seconds remaining, and again, remember folks, this is Cup Mode finalists, 120 points for now. All the matches that you're going to see today are up to 120 points. Those top three are neck and neck, so Jampy absolutely has the possibility of just putting my predictions halfway in the mud. I highly doubt Dummy's going to do the same. He's literally half the points of everyone else, just about. So, he's going to have to do some catching up and a lot of upsets, and Lightning may strike twice, but is it going to strike like 4 or 5 times is my question, because Dummy's known for upsets, but that level of an upset, after he did that like twice before,
If he pulls it off, he should get an automatic qualification for every single tournament ever to exist in the future. If he pulls it off, no questions, bar none asked. But regardless of Dummy's hopes and dreams, it is still a massive tussle for everybody up in front, and Nixotica is pumping around as well. This is the one thing I did notice about this track, is if you do deviate a bit more from the optimal line, as Jumpy deviates off the ledge on this round, you definitely can lose a fair bit of time. Definitely you can lose a lot of time to go off the edge like Jumpy did. But for the time being, Neal is going to take full advantage of getting 10 points. The world record on the track is by Noiszia, 57.3. So again, half a second off, but a good start for the Damascus boys. And Jumpy, from his steaming start, the steam is being now sort of toned down a bit for him.
I've noticed that Jumpy seems to be struggling a little bit on the 2 newer maps. He might just have more practice. I'm pretty sure he did participate in the last NAC. I honestly don't remember. All of that weekend is a blur. Too much Trekmania at once. But either way, he definitely seems to be more comfortable on the 3 maps that have been known for quite some time. But it's still a decent possibility that this map might not crown a finalist, so he might not need to deny. Well, actually, certainly couldn't be forced to deny any finalists on this map. The best that could happen is that Nixotica could get it in this map, but then they'd immediately have to go to another map for the actual claim of that validation run, shall we call it?
Yep, that is indeed true. Unironically as well, when I look at the PBs, well, Jumpy is the fastest out of the 3 on this track. He has a 5:12. Actually, no, I'm lying. Neal has the fastest time. It's 4:68. Then it's Jumpy 5:12. What a great race by the front 2 as well, as I keep yapping about PVs and stuff. And Nixotica is 5:75. But Neal getting the points on the board, but it is again 10-6-4. Neal, Nixotica, and Jumpy being left in a bit of a point drought, because he would definitely now want to get that first position, because then it will keep him in the mix. Because the one thing you do not want to do is fall behind right at the very end, where finalist mode can get a bit closer. As we see, Neal now is the one to falter a bit, so at least gives Jumpy, better odds when one of the 3 is out.
Okay, well, Nixotica full crash. Wow, that's way worse than I thought. I have noticed as well at least from my POV, Jampy's doing a little bit of rubber banding, not a ton, but just a little bit towards the beginning and the end of like the last round or two. I hope he's not having any internet issues. Well, he clips, so he's having a different kind of issue. Dummy clips as well, so they're just back head to head at this point. They're
and
neck
nothing
and neck.
happens. It's basically the same thing.
You know, they just get there a little bit slower, give Neal a chance to potentially catch up. Actually, he is kind of we're just going to ignore that. Jampy in the lead will take a 6:01. That's a pretty fast time. Neal just casually going into the safe finish, and Nixotica, just take your 3 points. They're free. Well, you gotta finish, buddy.
I'm honestly surprised that it's only a second slower than the world record, all things considered what we saw there. So, so yeah, honestly, a fair play to them. It was a slight touch, so it wasn't the biggest part to make a mistake, and I believe it was one of the slower sections as well. So the mistake didn't cost them too much time. But we can see again. Yeah, but that one will, and this time it is Jumpy and Nixotica both having the fumble, so Neal gets a free pass this time, and Dummy, I mean, he's somehow this track has become the biggest point grab.
Oh my Dummy!
Well, it was the biggest point grab for the time being, unless he decided to hit both of the light bulbs, and now he's fighting Jumpy for the last position. So Neal is just in his no man's land, basically.
He's just vibing at this point. He could crash it a little bit, maybe not a full crash, but he could clip here and there. And it seems like this map is just to have everyone in the mud. Maybe they thought, oh, this one's easy, we don't have to practice it as much. Because no one seems to be getting a clean round very often. I think we saw like maybe 1 or 2 in the first round, but otherwise it's lost gear here, a clip there, full crash every now and then.
Yeah, and also a very solid time as well, all things considered. Like I said, the 57.358 is the world record, but their PBs are not too far off as well. Like that is 0.2 off of Neal's PB, that 0.668. So definitely was feeling rather comfortable there in that previous round. But we move on to the golden hour, and it could be the golden hour for one of these players, because this could be a very much potential that one of these players could secure their upper bracket position on this track.
A little bit of lore for you as well, for the uninitiated. It was Manox's map in the original Duo Cup that Dummy got his upset potential name applied to him, right? Like, it was Manox's map where he denied like a ton of rounds from significantly more prolific players. Like, no one was expecting him to do that well. He was already like way far down and out in terms of points. I think he just comes back and wins like a ton of rounds in a row. So who knows, maybe this is the start. It's hard to say. I don't remember how well he performed at this map in NAC. Let's just assume it was decent enough. But there's been quite a few shenanigans from him this series so far, so he's more than likely going to go down as the lower bracket, let's be real here. But I want to see a show, Dummy, if you're listening, upset a few times. It'll be funny.
No, it definitely will be funny, but he does have the opportunity, because like we said, people are going to go into finalist mode, and it's the perfect opportunity where people are going to make mistakes, there's more pressure on the board, and all of a sudden Dummy starts getting those first positions in. He's definitely still needs to get a lot of those in, and hugging the wall alongside with Jumpy is definitely not among the plans that you want to have for upsets. So and Jumpy is one of those people who would love to get those first position points. So if Neal wins this round, he will go into finalist mode, but he does have his fellow brethren up in front denying it for the time being, but it is quite equal as we go into the second part of the track.
Nick's taking a very different line there on the plastic uphill, but it seems to even out a little bit. Neal still in the lead for now. Nick's actually falling a little bit behind. We've seen some crashes in the water section, but both of them keep it clean enough. Nothing really changing between the two of them. I think Nick's just trying to risk where he can, but there's only so much track left. Goes for a very early drift, but I think Neal did the same. He's not going to crash the finish. And that's going to be a 57.1. I don't remember what the world record is, but that sounds fast. I think it's like a 56 something, isn't it?
It is a 56.922 by Noiszia, so 0.2 off, and of course Neal does have a sub 57. He's definitely the fastest out of all of these players, but that is definitely a very nice time for our rounds mode as well. But good luck to Neal because he's definitely gonna need it, because he now has to. This is now where the match's absolute insanity comes into play. I think this is part of Nixotica's master plan, because whoever's in finalists has to now deny Nixotica and Jumpy, but Jumpy's out of it. Nixotica's also fallen a bit behind, so Neal could just, pull the trigger right away, as Nixotica's really trying to keep himself on the track somehow. Still keeping within touching distance, but Neal is just in the mud, is what I was about to say. Clear commentating perfection by me, noticing that a split second that was gonna happen. I was clearly not gonna say that Neal is gonna jump in front of everybody and gonna close it out, but it's going good for Nixotica at least.
Well, he should be able to get just 2 points away from finalist himself. Jampy will get a much needed 6-pointer there, getting him at least a little bit closer. He still has 2 more rounds to go. Dummy, please finish. Thank you. And Neal didn't bother. Can't deny any points. Doesn't matter.
That is indeed true. But yeah, finalist mode for Neal. So 1 round down, a few more to go. So in the next round, no matter the result, if Nixotica finishes, he will be finalist. Jumpy, ideally, would love to get first position. Neal again has a bit of a clip and gives away the opportunity to the front. So now it is a case. He will be able to maybe deny a few points from Jumpy, but which would actually benefit him a bit, keeping him away from finalist mode. But Dummy absolutely getting savaged by that gate CP. Jumpy having a bit of a trouble. Everybody's in the mud a bit, as Neal is now moving into second position, overtaking Jumpy, and Nixotica has the biggest gap of his life on this track.
All Nix needs to do... Okay, well, he has a little bit more of a gap now as Neal slides out in the water. All Nix needs to do is just play it safe. Not too safe, obviously. I don't think he can even do that. It's not in his blood. He gets it through the finish line, denies Neal once again, gets the red name on his own car. And Dummy, you probably want those 3 points. Do not crash. Do not crash. There you go. Okay, got a little bit dicey, but he at least needs those 3 points. So now we have both of Damascus on finalists.
It is both finalists, and Jumpy, the only way he can deny is if he wins. But he hasn't, Jumpy hasn't really gotten anything going, and Neal again clips the start. The golden hour has definitely not been his hour at the moment, as Jumpy is the only one who can deny Nix, but he clips as well. So Dummy, it's all up to you now.
Third time's a charm.
Read in some of that magic. We'll put all the voodoo magic on you now to deny Nixotica from that position. Will Nixotica's master plan work? But Dummy also is out of it. So now everybody has to simply pray that something happens to Nixotica. Otherwise, his master plan is absolutely going to come to work and fruition here.
I think he's going to keep it clean throughout. He stayed perfectly stable through the water. I don't think he's going to touch the wall here. He doesn't even get close to it. Playing it pretty safe for once, and Jampy will get a nice 6 points. Neal still on finalist. He's just vibing at this point. But Nix is going to be the first one to go on through the upper bracket.
Well. Now the case is that we will be doing a map switch, and we have done all of the tracks now. So we are moving on back to Emerald, where Jumpy had a fantastic start of all things as well. But will that go a second time around? Now, of course, we predicted all kinds of things as well. You predicted Nixotica and Neal. I predicted Jumpy and Neal, but we could have Nixotica and Jumpy and Neal being the one to go out. So that is the third scenario that none of us predicted, which could come true.
Sometimes the script just writes itself. Of course, we have to go back to the first map, which Jampy was far and away the most comfortable on. That's where he started his insane lead for the first couple of maps, and it took up until the end of map 3 to get Nixotica and Neal caught back up to him. So I mean, if there was ever a time where Neal gets sent down to the lower bracket, it would be now, which would be ridiculous, by the way, because Neal is probably a top 5 player in the entire region, generally speaking. But I guess Nix knew what he was doing when he drafted this lobby. Yeah, some people called him unhinged, guilty as charged. But it worked. Kind of, barely, take what you can get.
Hey, I mean, if anything, it just shows, the madness worked. Nixotica went for the top two, and now one of those two will be going into the lower bracket. Which one of those two it will be? Well, we're about to find out, because this is the track where all it will be decided on. I doubt these next 4 rounds we will go on to the next track unless the dummy decides, will something absolutely go out. And apparently we have Nats in the chat writing GG, well, the GG is not even happened. Well, technically it happened for Nixotica, but I don't know who's he going for GG there, but Nats absolutely just clueless on everything. But what is happening at the moment is the Jumpy is in the lead, and Neal is the one that has to catch up.
Now, if you're Neal, you just have a golden opportunity. Forget what I was just about to say about the pressure of having that red number on your car for over a map at this point, because now is his opportunity. Has been gifted to him on a golden platter. Golden hour may not have been his time, but methinks that emerald is. Damascus goes on through.
Boring. It's the duel that you predicted, the safe option. We cannot have chaos here, man. What is this? And
not a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I wanted to, some fancy stuff as well, but I love the fact that, the server is still up and running.
Are we playing the third? I don't think we are.
Definitely, well, it shouldn't be for 3 winners. Well, apparently it is. Yeah, the general settings is it should be 3 winners. I have no idea why.
It might be for seeding going into the next round. It'd be my guess.
Probably, but I would presume, I guess, they just play again. It is 3 winners. I double checked. It is correct. So we have to actually figure out. So dummy, I mean,
he's dummy.
Good luck.
I wonder if he thought. I can't see the in-game chats. I don't know if he was typing or whatnot. If he wasn't aware, but I mean, there is the possibility of a catastrophic failure on the side of Jampy. But I mean, he got through one of the harder parts of the map, which is getting the half pipe clean, and he doesn't need to risk this part right here. So not quite a clip. Got close. But Jampy will secure that 3rd place. I don't think it does much besides seeding into the next round. But you take those, dummy. You take your 84 points and go down to the lower bracket, I guess. I don't know, man. Just get good.
Yeah, well, that is true. So that concludes this round of the matches. I don't know if any other match is still ongoing, though I see a fair few still happening here. So
let's jump around.
Yeah, so we'll take a quick glance around of seeing where people are at the moment. There is some interesting. I mean, there's the first match that has a potential to go into. Oh no, actually not quite yet. But there is a possibility to go into triple finalist on the first match with Sali, Uchimas, and Cosmos.
Let's hop in there and head back in game. As I guess expected, Charles already in first place. He's the first person to ever defeat Manox in the most recent South American Cup, who prior to that won every South American Cup that ever existed. This is actually extremely close. Cosmos, consistent partner to Dummy in terms of like World Tour and Dual Cup and whatnot. Dynamic Duo might actually be able to outdo his partner a little bit here and get finalist. So I actually, as long as Cosmos gets second,
it will be triple finalist. If Cosmos stays in, if he gets first or second, double finalist. If he gets third out of these, then it's double. So Cosmos doing every bit of his power to keep it triple. That's a good jump, and I think if he holds on to that and looks to be doing so, we are gonna go into a triple finalist situation in this match to decide who goes into the upper and who goes into the lower bracket as well. And so it's gonna be interesting, and it's as I look at the best time that is driven in the round, I presume this is the track that we will be deciding it as well. So good luck to all.
Hey, Dummy, I see you chatting. You can't. You can blame Nixotica, right? His picks were absolutely unhinged, but you just got to deal with the cards you're given, right? That was the match that you were forced to play in against your will, and you just needed to win, and you didn't. So, sucks to suck, I don't know. But right now, Sully, currently in the lead. Cosmos trailing behind with Uchimas just barely behind first place.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good fight here as well, and it's gonna be interesting who will actually get it here as well, because you know, Cosmos and Sully are basically neck and neck in regards to the time, but Uchimas is the one where we have to keep in mind here. Could be interesting as well. They're neck and neck into this section. Sully is trying to catch up as well. Sully goes a bit wider, but will have a bit more speed. Who gets the closer finish? But it is Uchimas who will get it on the board as well. So GG to him. What a great race in the end, deciding that one as well. But we go one more time because, of course, for seeding,
map switch.
we are actually switching maps, so that's interesting. A map switch to decide whether Sully or Cosmos will be third.
Well, Dummy, now's your chance. If Cosmos gets fourth, then he didn't do any better than you. He got the exact same. I guess he got more points at the end, but that doesn't really matter once you already get into the next round. And who better to determine seeding into the lower bracket than Ski Freak and Agraboo, I suppose. Warm up right now, so don't worry about any crashes quite yet. But you could just bask in the glory that is the insanity of Bioreactor, because this map is crazy, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely a crazy track, and what a way to decide whether you will have third or fourth seed in the lower bracket. These players are both in the lower bracket, that is confirmed, and that much has not changed as well. We have some other updates as well. For example, one of the matches, Rookie and Authortime got through to the upper bracket with Pure Havoc and Ariat going into the lowers. Lingo and Odash are the ones to go into the upper bracket with Randomize and Alxer going into the lowers. So a fair few results have already been trickling in, and we're gonna see the conclusion of this one as well to come as well. I don't know how the seeding is going already for the from that, but I already saw something where Lingo mentioned that he probably has to be playing Neal in the next match, but that's a future problem for those players. But for the time being, it is Sully to take a commanding lead already, and Cosmos to already try to crawl back here.
Yeah, I don't exactly know what that line was from Cosmos, but it certainly cost him like a quarter of a second, give or take. Now he's trying to catch it up here, almost touches the wall on the sausage, but he keeps it in check, gaining just a little bit, but has a slight release there. So it's really going to be up to Sully to just keep calm and not clip or crash or do anything a little bit too silly, because he's keeping the distance relatively stable away from Cosmos.
It's keeping the distance, but this segment is where he does do the catch-up. Much better line here. We'll get a lot better exit speed coming out of this as well. This is going to be neck and neck. Sully still keeps the lead, but this section you can get so good speed. Ooh, bit of a clip then and there. The final turn to decide who will be third, who will be fourth. Cosmos sends it, and it is Sully by 32 thousandths of a second. Cosmos is fourth, and the two teammates of Dummy and Cosmos can rejoice by being fourth in their respective matches. The struggle might have been a bit different, but the outcome is nonetheless the same.
Well, we can run around and see. I think all the matches are pretty much done. Yeah, they are.
So they are. Indeed.
Let's see. I don't think the next round is fully decided quite yet. I think they have to do that manually. It's currently loading. Let me check in game real fast. Not scheduled to start until 2 minutes from now, so I don't know if it's worth sending it to a break or not. Really depends. I think it's just they're trying to tabulate what matches have concluded thus far, and actually I might be able to screen share. Let me attempt to show this a little bit on the stream. I zoomed in a little bit so you can see here, folks. Got well, the first match we know the results of, the third match we know the results of, but you can see here Audaz and Lingo moving forward, Alex randomized down, Noiszia and Random beat out Peanuts, Jorker, never heard that name before, and Barry, who I believe made their debut in the NAC. We don't know who won from that match yet. as said with round F, the winners, Authortime and Rookie. No real upsets there. Nats and CD won round H. Wintersprung and that name get sent down to the lower bracket. Not the worst name I've seen, let's be real here. But yeah, those are the results for now. At the very least, we'll have to wait a couple of minutes.
We are getting some insider info that Peanuts Joker is
Oh,
Mitch.
that's Mitch. Of course, it's Mitch. Why did I? Yeah,
Because
Halcyon.
people love to rename. I like how, the tournament organizers don't clamp down on this. Come on, make our life a bit easier. At least let us know that you're changing names, as well, would be nice at least, then we know. But, it's fine, it's fine. The renames are a classic part of it. Lingo is basically made his name synonymous basically with that as well. But at least in this tournament, he hasn't. He's well behaved. Lingo TM. But overall, we are getting the results slowly trickling in. I already, like I said previously, from the bracket as well, I see Lingo and Neal are in the same match. So that's going to be interesting who they will get in their matchup. So going to be a good one. As soon as the admins figure stuff out, I don't know if we will actually jump into a quick break because they seem to be taking their sweet time with it. So we might have to give them, or we'll just get to do a bit of a podcast. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't see the problem of sending it to a short break while they figure that out and while we figure out what match we want to spectate next. So don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back, probably in like less than 5 minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be getting underway. We're going to be following the upper bracket for the entirety of today. If you're watching chat, I tried to edit the title. I don't think it really worked, but we'll let someone else worry about that. I'm doing enough as is right now. But we are going to be in match number 2. That's Authortime, Stokeine, Lingo, and Neal. We're going to be following Neal at least again for this match. Probably avoid following him again for a third match, just to give other people a chance in the spotlight. But we couldn't pass up on the opportunity to see Lingo versus Neal, because it feels like that's just one of the quintessential rivalries of the NCSA region at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those, especially when Lingo went on an absolute streak in the North American Cup as well, and didn't lose a single match. And that was his fame to glory. Nixotica was his rival in that cup, but he had to bow down, and Lingo was the one to take the helm in that regard. So Lingo is definitely the man to keep your eyes on. Whether he's prepared for this one as well, it does have 2 new maps. We gotta keep in mind as well, and in all of that shenanigans, I realized that I did not change the PBs of the people there as well. So while we get to yammering, I can just quickly and smoothly just hammer away, copy paste some times from leaderboards, and then we're smooching and good to go.
Got about 20 seconds remaining before the match starts, and then I'll send us into the game while we do the pre-match warm-up and whatnot. But yeah, for now, I think the obvious prediction here for who goes forward once again into the upper bracket is just going to be Lingo, Neal, right? Those are the 2 favorites here. But Stokeine and Authortime are really good players in themselves as well. So I could see especially Stokeine get in to like that dark horse role, but they're really going to have to prove it, because Neal and Lingo are kind of like on that next tier of player, right? And now we are getting into the pre-match warm-up, so I'll send that in.
Yep, there it is. We do have the pre-match warm-up indeed. We of course got to keep in mind that I do believe that the map order, well, it does say it's random, but I feel like it's randomly generated for this one instance, and then we're gonna roll with the same map order throughout the tournament, unless there's been an absolute shenanigans where Emerald has been in fact drafted once more again, and then we're going to see something different. But I believe that's probably not going to be happening, because that would be too advanced. And I believe that the easiest way is probably where we're going to keep the same map pack until we get to a point. Well, technically there's going to be only 3 matches today. This is the second match of the 3 today, so it's going to be a quick night, all things considered, soon. But still a lot of action with this match to come as well.
Yep, certainly. Got about 15 seconds remaining for the final warm-up, and then we're getting into it for real. Let's see. Starting on Emerald once again. Gonna see marginally less mistakes, probably, in before Caster Curse, but that's on the players. They just gotta play better. Get good, forehead. But this time for real. This time for points. And it's really gonna be on Authortime and Stokeine to play that spoiler role, to catch up in expectations.
That is indeed true. I mean, Authortime, at least in in-game chat as well, was already saying that this. Well, he did say that he knows that he's going to lose, but it's all about the mindset. If you already come into this game, you're knowing that it's gonna be a bit of a rough time, then maybe it will work out in the better of you. And at the moment, if there's anything to go by, is the fact that Lingo is in first position, but Stokeine is definitely trying to get first position as Lingo hits the corner there, and all of a sudden it is Stokeine in first position, and it could be very much possible that the players that are trying to deny everybody could be getting more points here. Stokeine is just gone into the distance, but Authortime is trying to deny Neal and Lingo, but that is not going to backhand. But neck and neck they jump, and Neal gets the better of it. Lingo gets so stuck that even Authortime overtakes him by a thousand there as well, or a tenth in that regard. So Lingo, not out to a good start, at least from that first round. Everything went wrong that could have gone wrong.
Yeah, both the favorites coming into this match, Lingo and Neal, had some mistakes early on. Lingo closer to the middle of the map, and then Lingo at the very end of the map once again. But Stokeine, he's really only like maybe one step. Okay, well, Authortime's in the mud entirely, but Stokeine, again, is like, he's too good to not take advantage of mistakes made by Neal and Lingo. Well, I think those latter two are gonna be in the lead, Lingo, please, for the majority of the rounds, that they don't make mistakes. If they do, Stokeine's going to be right there to snatch up a few extra points.
Yeah, that is perfect as well. I feel like Neal had to release as well. You can see he had to slow down quite a bit. And again, Stokeine is in the lead, and Neal and Lingo not feeling so comfortable from the get-go. And Stokeine could be going for a 2 out of 2 wins here. And that is exactly what's going to happen at the moment. What a great way to start for him at the moment. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better start, at least, all things considered. Of course, it's an early start. We saw Jumpy having the same thing, a glorious start to begin with, and then, progressively it got worse and worse. But, you take what you can, and I'm sure Stokeine is, no pun intended, very stoked to get those 2 first positions.
Well, it definitely seems like Emerald is his comfort zone, because he starts off pretty far in the lead, all things considered, although I think he might have clipped there because he lost a lot of speed randomly, now relegated to 4th, but again, he's 8 points ahead of the next closest person. Authortime now in the mix. He seems to have slightly less optimal lines because he's losing just a tiny bit to the other 3 on every single turn. It's not awful, but it's not super clean either. Right, and you can see coming into the half pipe, he goes a little bit more safe, and I think that's what it is really, is his line's just a little bit more safe. But now Lingo and Neal have survived thus far. Lingo, I don't know what just happened, but he's in 4th now apparently.
Ooh, but that is, Lingo had to go on the sausage. It dragged him a bit too wide, so he had to release a bit and gave away all of those positions over to Stokeine and Authortime. As well, unironically as well, in the brackets or in the sheet, he's named champion medal. You got a long ways to go Authortime if you want to be champion. If you want to do, especially when you're driving like that. So Lingo again, also not finding the best comfort as well for the time being, and Neal also. So yeah, it is quite interesting. Of course, maybe it could be the fact that Neal got a bit annoyed by the fact that what happened in the match between Nixotica and Jumpy. I presume he didn't want to go up in that match, and maybe that's thrown him off a bit as well. But because Stokeine is having a good time, Neal is having a good time hugging the wall, and all of a sudden it is just a comfortable time for the Canadians.
Well, we'll see, because Lingo's not had the best of time recently, although he seems to be keeping it stable, and he's certainly not being pressured by either of the Americans here. You can see Neal way in the distance going for the half pipe. Authortime, there you go, he was just finishing. I knew he was around there somewhere. Neal should get the 3 points. I hope he gets the 3 points. Please, buzzer beater, just barely. 3 points. You gotta take those where you can get them, and he's in 2nd place. I mean, not the worst case scenario.
Yeah, but 36 out of 40 for Stokeine, by the way. That means he only got 3 first places and 1 second position. That is absolutely sublime by him, given all circumstances, and already 1/3 of the way towards getting close to 1/3 of the way already to finalist mode from the first track. It's gotta feel comfortable, You basically, he should be like, what? If Neal and Link are gonna struggle, I'm more than happy to just casually take the points. You two can do whatever you want. I'm just gonna get the points. It's gonna be a good buffer, and all things considered, might actually win the match. But we are moving on to Korean, where of course it is the longest track of the campaign, and Lingo is trying for some alternative lines in the warm-up. I'm sure he will be driving a bit cleaner this time around, but let's see. Can Stokeine do better than Jumpy did? Because Stokeine actually hold on to this lead till the very end?
It's certainly a difficult thing, especially as Lingo in particular is I guess what you call a tempo-based player. He starts off a little bit slower, usually, and then he just ramps and ramps and ramps and ramps until eventually he's driving world records in rounds, and you're like, what the hell, man? I'm trying to exist here in the lobby, and he's just unstoppable at that point. You could see it even in when he plays Cup of the Day and whatnot. The same thing. The early rounds he's not quite as fast, and then it slowly gets more and more terrifying as the series progresses. So don't give Lingo too much time to catch up is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but the only thing I know from Lingo from Couple of Days is because if it's a 1v1, he always DNFs. Yeah, that's all I know from Cup of the Day when it comes to Lingo most of the cases. Though he has done a bit better in my recent memory. But usually when Lingo, well, he's in a Cup of the Day 1v1, he does end up DNFing or absolutely fumbling the pack, as he's doing so in this current round, because he does find himself in 4th position. But for the time being, Neal is now trying to wake up on Corian, because he's definitely in a good commanding lead with 0.3 after with a gap between Stokeine.
Well, to be fair to Neal, this map seemed like one of the more comfortable ones for him in the previous series. Like, he didn't look like he was sweating at all, and he was just driving pretty consistently solid times every single time, aside from that one round where he crashed the inside wall of the finish. Still managed to get the 10 points. Same here, with a little bit less of a heart attack, shall I say. So I'm expecting Neal to kind of claw his way back towards Stokeine.
Yeah, that is indeed true. I just got a bit of a giggle out of what Authortime said in the chat. He said, "Do I get points for winning warm-up?" Unfortunately not. You do have to do the exact same thing you did in warm-up again in rounds. Of course, warm-up is a bit of a different case to begin with. Even the fact that even if you get a PB in warm-up, doesn't count. If it's a world record in warm-up, doesn't count. You have to do it in rounds.
Well, you can see right now, Authortime is trailing a little bit behind Lingo and Neal. I don't know what Neal just did. Lingo almost hit the pole. I saw that one. But Lingo and Stokeine now neck and neck. Stokeine actually a little bit further behind now that everything's stabilizing. Has a little bit more speed. Lingo going a little bit wonky there on the lines, getting dangerously close to the corner. But staying in first place by some miracle or another. And there's not much track left.
Isn't much track left. Stokeine gets a bit of a clip, but that's not going to be enough. Neal is too far behind, closes up, but Lingo gets his first 10-pointer, I believe. I believe he didn't win a single round. Authortime.
There we go. Okay, the points didn't load on my screen, so I was like, did he actually get in there without finishing? Like, what happened?
Well, at least he got the points, but one thing is also important, and Lingo got the 10-pointer as well. So again, Stokeine is holding on to his lead, but we can see glimpses of things going well for these players. Lingo and Authortime will go hand in hand as Neal goes Stokeine go hand in hand in front. So everybody has a couple. Well, Authortime decided he doesn't want to be friends with Lingo anymore and decided to just leave him and go and beat him.
I don't know what is entirely happening. I think Lingo has a gear issue. That seems to be the case towards the very beginning, but Neal and Stokeine are keeping it rather close once again. Stokeine this time around up in the lead. I'm sure he'd love another 10-pointer just to get a little bit further away from Neal, right? I feel like that's a nice feeling when you have that buffer zone. Keeping it clean so far, but Neal turning a lot less aggressively, and you could see the speed that conserves.
Yeah, you can get so much out of this, and Neal usually sends this part, and there it is, but is it a bit too much?
Oh, okay.
Right to the line as Stokeine holds on. But Neal was trying to get a bit of a send with the reactor there just to get a bit more speed. Didn't pay quite off, but was close there. 17,000 separated to Stokeine does get the 10-pointer on the board, and everybody has a very simple cap of basically 13-12 points between everybody involved. Lingo and Authortime are the ones only more closer to each other than probably expected. There are 8 points at the drift, but Lingo, Neal has found his ground. Now it's Lingo's time to do the same, as he definitely needs to get something going. Otherwise, Neal and Stokeine are gonna get so far behind that Lingo might just have to go full send towards the latter part. But what is looking on our screens right at the moment is a promising sign, because Lingo is in the lead.
See if he can keep it though, because his lines towards the end on the grass sections and the penalty grass are a little bit wonky. You'll see him. Okay, we didn't even get to the grass part yet. Neal got dangerously close to clipping there, but keeps it alive. I don't know how he survives with the lines that he has, but they're apparently safe. That's all I can say to that. Stokeine with a little bit of a bonk, but I don't think Authortime's close enough to really punish that mistake. And the standings are going to stay the same for now.
Yeah, and also a very solid time as well. Lingo was on a similar pace as well. So again, you can see it's there, but not quite yet there. Is what the story for Lingo is at the moment, as he drifts ever so much further away from the top two. But we are gonna move on to the next rank, and judging by the time, it is our new map in the pool, Garlic Bread. Now we saw Neal have a relatively good time here. As Lingo immediately writes in chat, as the map switch is trolling POV here, is apparently Lingo's motto at the moment. Hopefully it changes throughout the course of the match, as Authortime is praying for Lingo crash POV also. So everybody is definitely rooting for Lingo not to do so well, even Lingo himself apparently.
I mean, keep in mind, this isn't an elimination match. They're still in the upper bracket for now, but you don't really want to have to rely on that second life. You know, you just kind of want to ride pretty all the way to the grand finals through the upper bracket. You play less matches in general. It just feels better, bragging rights, you know?
It always feels nice, and you know, you don't have to worry too much. But everybody's always said, you know, sometimes coming from the lower bracket can benefit you as well. But we gotta keep in mind, you know, Lingo has a prestigious a title to hold. He has still yet to lose a match, so technically he's undefeated so far in the, you could say, you know, in the pool of matches. He didn't lost a single time in North America Cup. Can he keep that going throughout the tournament? It's not looking as promising, but we'll have to wait and see. But honestly, you gotta keep in mind that, you know, you wouldn't want any of these players to be in the lower bracket, and especially probably Lingo to begin with, because Lingo is just allowed to mellow slowly in the lower bracket. You're just gonna basically feeding the beast even more, more food to work with. But for the time being, Lingo and Neal are the ones in 1 and 2, and Stokeine is chasing them down.
I can even see dummies pleading in chat to someone let Lingo in. He doesn't want the jump scare in the lower bracket, but you might be getting that unless Stokeine has anything to say about it. So he's still in the lead by 9 points overall, and while he's in third place now, it feels like he's slowly gaining turn by turn. You can see the gap is closing just a little bit, and Lingo getting a little bit of an awkward line and landing there, so he's going to give up that second place, barring a catastrophe here, but nope, everything's nice and clean. Authortime pulling up the rear.
Yep, that is still Neal and Stokeine securing their foothold at the front, leaving Lingo to sort of think his way through this one as well. I mean, we've seen comebacks as well, and I believe Lingo definitely is the man that can definitely pull it off, but definitely got to give praise to Stokeine here as well. Stokeine is definitely, you know, if we look at the seedings, immediately I start to praise the man, and he hits the wall. The classic greedy curse.
It's like his spidey sense was tingling.
Yeah, immediately as soon as you start to compliment somebody, I wasn't even able to really say much of anything. Stokeine immediately just decides, you know what, having none of it.
Oh, Lingo,
I'm not
come
doing
on.
Great.
Canada in the mud.
I mean, yeah, Canada is struggling at the moment, but Stokeine, yeah, at least he's catching up, because everybody else is struggling. So Lingo is, you know, trying to keep his company, and it gives the position away as well. So, you know, still all going well.
A little bit too much trolling there. But Authortime, at the very least, silver linings for him. Right now, he's poised to get a solid 6 points if Stokeine doesn't have anything to say about it, which there's not much track left to say anything in that regard. Nice and clean. Good 6 points for him. Lingo takes the safe in, because why not at that point? Just get the points and GG next round.
Yep, that is GG.
We sure it's Lingo playing?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we don't know. It could be. Honestly, at this point we don't know. Maybe it is. You know, it's not Lingo's main account, because, you know, he's a man to know for his renames. You know, he could be Authortime for all we know. You know, for all we know at this case. You know, and it's actually Authortime driving under the name of Lingo, and Lingo driving under the name of Authortime. But both of them are doing equally as badly, so maybe it doesn't help them in that regard. But one thing is going well. It's the fact that everybody's having a bit of a moment in this round, because Lingo somehow finds himself almost 0.4 of a second in front of everybody else, and Neal is finding himself at the back end for a few rounds.
Well, I mean, he just overtook Stokeine in the overall points last round, so you got to go from first to last, I suppose. It's just the way of this series, I guess. It's been a little bit of a yep series, as it were, but this time the Canadian... I was about to say they're in the lead, and they're still in the lead, but it's less clean than I thought and was hoping it would be. But everything remains stable for now. I think Stokeine's going to overtake Neal again by 1 point, but otherwise, no one's really overtaking anyone quite yet.
Yeah, it's gonna take a few times. I think Stokeine and Neal are gonna swap positions a fair few times. Lingo did go a fair bit inside. He was going for the full risk there and almost paid the price. This time at least Stokeine wasn't able to cash in as well as others did. But all of a sudden it seems that Lingo just took away the controller from his little brother and decided, you know what, I'm done with this. I'll let you play a bit. You got me some points, but this time it's time to now actually start playing. And man is all of a sudden just decided I'm just gonna now wide arrive, start gaming, and he's challenging Stokeine and Neal to the front as everybody's neck and neck as we go into the second part of the track.
Stokeine has a little bit of a lead, but it's really only like half a car. Neal gets an awkward clip in the transition there to the plastic, so Lingo and Stokeine by themselves up in the lead. Canada Gaming this time around. Lingo, do not clip the hole! Whoa, that was dangerously close. I thought he did it again. Stokeine has a lot more speed, though. I don't think he can overtake. Just 100 separating them, but it stayed consistent the whole way through.
Yep, it's still, yeah, Lingo is going for that full risk in that for that hole, and that has almost not paid off 2 times in a row. But hey, this time, you know, he can count his lucky eggs for now, because now he's racking up the points, and we move on to the next track, which is going to be Ski Freaks track. So we're gonna go from one new map to the other one, and I'm trying to remember if the order was exactly the same the last time.
No.
I don't think it was.
I
so
think
it seems
Bioreactor
that we just got very lucky that Emerald was first again, and the rest of the track is random. So props to the competition tool man behind the scenes, the production and everybody, that they have actually created a random one. It was just very lucky that we got Emerald twice in a row.
Maybe not so lucky for the players, because they're going to probably be fighting for at least one of the top 2 spots on Emerald once again. Or maybe if you're Stokeine, you love that fact. Who knows? You just got to stall it out long enough.
We'll have to wait and see. But hey, if anything is to go by is the fact that, when I look at the... Well, I haven't really done this segment, is the fact that PBs is what we're going to talk about here. And I'm going to be honest, even Dummy had better odds against Neal, Nixotica, and Jumpy than Ultimatal has at the moment against these 3, because everybody is in a 61.7. Authortime 63. Well, it is a 103.2, so it is almost a second and a half off his PB, unless there's some offline shenanigans that Authortime has done. Good luck to him, because he's gonna have a tougher time than Dummy did.
That's the nicest thing you said, Dummy. Aren't you supposed to be playing? Don't you have a match right now? And it's an elimination match, please. Either way, the match has continued. Warm-up is over, and it seems like everyone's keeping it relatively close to start things off. Neal and Authortime falling a little bit further behind. Actually, Authortime quite a ways behind now. He must have clipped somewhere along the lines. But Neal getting back into the fray, coming through this very low-speed snake section, I guess. Very tech-heavy.
It is very arduous as well, especially recently a lot of mappers have decided to really take the penalty grass reactor segment. Like, it's just almost on every single track at this point, and we can see that Lingo has fallen to Narnia at this point. Even Authortime has overtaken him, so it's Neal and Stokeine up in front, challenging for the position. Neal gets the front end of that with a great race, and it is the fact that Lingo has to succumb to 4th position. This parade is going to be, you know, going to end sooner rather than later, because Stokeine and Neal are not far away from getting to triple digits, which means that not so far away from finalist mode, unless Lingo has cooked up the biggest master plan and is trying to pull a masterclass in showing what happens when people get into finalist mode and he just starts to win.
It would be the funniest thing possible if Lingo just decides to pull a dummy. Personally speaking, I think that would be hilarious because he could probably close it out. Knowing him, someone just died. I don't know who. I couldn't see the name tag in time. Was that Authortime? I think it was Authortime. And Stokeine's also a little bit further behind.
Yep.
So Neal and Lingo alone up in the lead for now. Who died?
I saw Stokeine just fall off the rally turn casually, so smoothly it happened that it was just a calm chaos that happened there. All the time trying to go for some reactor shenanigans there, needs to turn a bit more. So it is Neal and Lingo. So it's one of those rounds, you know. Neal is struggling to keep it on track. So if Lingo doesn't close this one out, he's not gonna close any other round in the future.
I mean, let's be real. Everyone feels like they're struggling this series. We thought it would be a lot. Less XTD, shall I say? That's a solid time from Lingo, though. 101.7. That's pretty fast. I think the author time. Come on, you can't be at half. Actually, I don't know how far behind he was.
As well, I believe it's an online time fastest. He had a .827 before. I don't know if he beat that in the previous matches, but it's faster than it was recorded before the campaign times were closed. I'm basing off my times of the spreadsheet. So these times could have already aged like old milk as well, but it is faster than it was before the tournament started. So Lingo definitely has the pace.
I love how the very first turn, both Neal and Authortime just bonk the first wall they possibly could bonk. So they're trailing behind by about a second. It's just the Canadians up in the lead right now. Stokeine neck and neck with Lingo, who seems to have wrestled the controller away from his supposed younger brother. I don't know if he has a younger brother. I'm going to say no, just because I know he's young as hell also.
I mean, who knows? You know, no, we might have to get an interview with that. Stokeine goes a bit too inside, does clip. I mean, everybody's just giving these 10 pointers on a platter to Lingo, basically saying, you know what, we've enjoyed our lead very so comfortably. That 30-point gap that we had to you, Lingo, just come back in. We want to have a bit of fun. Yep, with a 103.1 blisteringly speed time on the board. Lingo gets another 10-pointer.
What is this round? What is this series? I don't know, but someone heard Dummies Please and just decided to make it a reality. There's a decent chance Lingo gets back into the fray by the time we have our first finalist, which is terrifying if you're Neal or Stokeine, because you had a cushion, but that's slowly evaporating, and soon enough they're going to blink and he's going to be right on their tail in terms of points. Because he's right on Neal's tail right now, literally.
Quite literally as well, and Lingo all of a sudden, as you know, maybe the mother told the little brother that you gotta have some dinner, or maybe already do some homework that you forgot to do, and all of a sudden Lingo has free reign of the controller, because all of a sudden it's Wokage and absolute despair for Neal and Stokeine, because that Lingo has been now in front in every single round so far. And looks like that man has finally had enough, and he's actually trying. Would you not believe it? Because Neal is also trying to deny Lingo, but it's proving to be a very difficult task at the moment, because Lingo could be going on to a spree of wins here unless Neal absolutely sends it here. But Lingo is sending, but it's not enough, and Lingo gets another 10-pointer. Good race in the end, but all of a sudden, what was a point cap of about 30 points has shrunk down to merely 10.
Yeah, I mean...
Merely 10.
Lingo woke up, he put on the Taylor Swift playlist. I don't know what just happened, but like something started to click. Whatever it is. For those who don't know, Lingo doesn't play with in-game sound. He just listens to Spotify the entire time. And if you're in voice chat with him, you'll hear him basically do karaoke while he's driving. It's pretty funny, actually. But he found the playlist that he needed to to just start taking the lead, I guess. Because this is getting scary now for what is currently the top two. I say that because who knows what's going to happen by the end of this map. Manox certainly doesn't, but he's probably going to enjoy the carnage regardless.
That is indeed true as well. I mean, you could say you were talking about Taylor Swift. I mean, maybe he was listening to Shake It Off, and he's now shaken off all of those cobwebs and everything that have been holding him back throughout this track, because it is golden hour to be next on the chopping block now. This track Well, honestly, when I look at the times, it's basically anybody's game here. Of course, Neal has the fastest time, but it's just the mentality has completely swiftly gone the other way. Stokeine is not even in first anymore. He's in second, still switching between Neal constantly, and Lingo is just looming ever so close by. And we'll have to wait and see if Golden Hour now brings some absolute shenanigans, or just something that we didn't even think that could possibly happen.
Well, Authortime, despite the fact that there is a bobsleigh block in this map, it's the very finish, and it doesn't really matter. So I don't think that buff is going to help him here, as the sign certainly is doing him no favors. He falls down into 4th place immediately, and he's just not having a good time in this series. This is a rough match for him to be thrown into, let's be real here, folks. But Lingo and Neal, I think they both woke up simultaneously.
That is indeed true. I mean, at least Authortime is doing his best impression of Dummy, is what I'm seeing, basically. But in all regards, what we're seeing at the moment is the biggest nightmare for Neal and Stokeine. That man up in front is going for a win again, and it doesn't look like it is not stopping with a 0.4 as well. And I believe he slightly released as well because he knew he was gonna go too far to the right there. So that could have been even faster. And with a blink of an eye and you miss it, Lingo is back in business.
He's 4 points away from 2nd place. He's less than 10 away from 1st. He was like 30-something points down just a map or two ago. This is utterly ridiculous. And it's the sad part is this isn't the first time he's done this kind of thing where he just like blows everyone out of the water for a couple of maps and gets like 60 points over the course of 2 maps. You know, it's just ridiculous. But just Lingo things, I don't know. I will say, off of one of the comments he made of the previous round, Authortime does not trash talk half enough to compare him to Dummy, but at the very least, Lingo is sparing everyone from his wrath right now. And let's see if he can actually catch up. Right now, we're on board with Authortime, just getting a good view of the top 2, Neal and Stokeine. For the time being, they're the top 2. Who knows what Lingo might be cooking up.
Yeah, that is true. But actually, now that we talk about Lingo, but if Neal now gets first position here, he denies finalist mode from Stokeine as well, who needed the win as 57.2, very fast as well on Golden Hour. So Neal goes into the finalist mode in first. Lingo sets him off self for a classic with a 109. If he wins the next round, he gets 119. So we'll have to see how that story unfolds. But Neal has another opportunity. But in the last match, he had the same position, and he was on Golden Hour, and everything went wrong.
Yeah, and it went wrong for like a map and a half too. Like it took him quite a while to close it out, and you could see here while Authortime is kind of in the wow, he's way more in the mud than I thought he was. Switching to his POV real quick, he wasn't even driving. But the other two, Lingo. Okay, Stokeine is still close enough to deny. Man, I swear he's laughing somewhere.
Yeah, it's laughing somewhere. But Neal, you know, he had this opportunity last time and it didn't go so well. This water can definitely slide him out as well if it wants to, but this time it seems that when Neal gets his one shot, one opportunity, he might be able to close it out and avoid the same troubles he had in the previous match, and exactly that is going to happen. Neal with a 57.2 as well, very solid, consistent rounds. He avoids the fumble he had in the previous time on Golden Hour and closes it out immediately. But now it's where the fun really begins, because Stokeine is finalist mode and the one man to deny him is Lingo. Can he do it? Because so far Lingo has not, well, technically he lost this match, but he has not gone to the lower bracket in the North American Cup. But can he do it in the Pan American?
Oh, wow, okay, Authortime's out of it entirely, so it's completely up to Lingo to deny Stokeine, and right now he's doing just that. Stokeine also wants to just close it out. He does not want to face Lingo as a finalist, because that is probably more terrifying than anyone would care to admit. The dude tends to finish it out in like the very next round once he gets finalists. It's just historical data trends in that direction.
Yeah, Yep, it is so, but at the moment Stokeine can only watch as his fellow Canadian is trying to deny him the opportunity as well. And to keep in mind, it's still quite unfathomable as well that at some point Lingo was almost 30 points behind Neal and Stokeine, and now Stokeine finds him in a position where he's trying to push,
No.
but Lingo sends it there, and it is a 1v1 to decide who gets it as well. In the end. So, whoop, whoop, whoop. That's gonna be a tough one. Lingo could just ruin Stokeine's amazing one as well. It's Authortime with 69 points. Very nice as well. And we're gonna map switch as well onto Emerald,
no.
where it all went so well for Stokeine. And I'm sure that will continue this time.
If there were ever a chance for Stokeine to close it out, this is the time. Take whatever opportunity, take a breather, go get a drink. I don't know, but you gotta shake off the jitters right now if you're Stokeine, because you showed that you can steal away what was like 36 points, I think, out of this map, the first go around of this series. So who knows? Lingo seems to have woken up, but is that gonna help him here? I don't know.
We'll have to now wait and see, because there was Lingo before and then there's Lingo now. The second wind has definitely come through for Lingo as well, and we'll have to wait and see where things will go for these two. All the things considered, it is anybody's game. Stokeine had a very good shot at the first time around here, and Lingo was absolutely in the mud, but he's definitely crawled himself out of it, and we'll have to wait and see if it was enough to secure it. This could be one opportunity. Of course, you are playing for third still as well. So Authortime, he's doing backwards practicing in the round. Maybe wants to, get a few more points on the board, but it's a case of lose for him, and only one win for one of these two to keep their run in the upper bracket alive.
Well, immediately Stokeine gets a much better start. He's like a full car length ahead of Lingo right now. Lingo takes such an outside line. You can see the speed he gets from it. So now they're just neck and neck. It's really going to be who can get the better line out of this plastic. It looks like Stokeine had the better inside approach, and they're literally on top of each other. Their name tags were canceling each other out. It's just a red block right now. So it's really going to come down to this half pipe and what comes after.
It's very patriotic up in front with the red of the Canadians. Lingo goes for the lowest jump and gets away with it as well. Absolutely send it. Stokeine is in the bushes, the forests of Canada, and it is Lingo to take that second position, 54.6 as well. Very solid. So it is Stokeine. After all of those trials and tribulations, such a great start to the match to hold on for so very long. There is one thing, and there's one thing only, the inevitable thing of Lingo that happens. But still, it is GG.
Well, I did say Lingo's kind of a tempo player. The longer you leave him in the series, the worse it's going to get, and he kind of proved that fact while Neal was able to get out before that really came to a head. But Stokeine and Authortime still got to play for third just to figure out which match they're going to get into, but they are both going to the lower bracket. They're not eliminated quite yet. Their tournament lives are still there. They just have one less, and I think Authortime got a bit of an awkward line there, so he will fall a bit further behind heading up into this half pipe.
Yeah, it is looking rather comfortable for Stokeine at the moment, but a lot went wrong in the end there when he was trying to push against Lingo, but maybe the pressure is now a bit off. I don't have to go for the full send, and it seems that, now this round very much cleaner as well, and I hope to God for Stokeine that it is not faster than the previous round, because that's gonna sting a bit. And it is faster than the previous round, so it will sting a bit in that regard, but it is GG for third position for Stokeine. And it was a great race, all things considered. But yeah, Lingo made it. Honestly, Lingo gave the entertainment to this match. He decided, what, I'm gonna let my little brother play, and then decided, what, now I'm gonna play, and still held on to second position, keeping his upper bracket streak alive still. So we'll have to keep that in check. But let's see some of the upper bracket matches. The first one is actually still underway, so maybe I'll quickly check what's happening there. Oh no, they're playing for third position. It is
Oh.
between Archer and Nats, Charles and
Huh.
Random, first and second. So maybe we can go into the lower ones. Maybe there's some closer affairs there. I want to see. Maybe we can give some more views. Oh, the fourth match is also underway from the upper brackets.
Fourth
What's
match.
happening
That one I
there?
think was like Bad PC Gamer and
Who
other
just
people.
closed out second position.
Okay, well, good timing, I guess. So that's going to be Noiszia
Good.
and Bad PC Gamer in the top two
So
there.
CD and Uchimas will be there. I want to see some more, like a closer affair,
Yeah.
in anything as well. Is there anything to go by? But I believe some of the lower bracket matches do have 3 players as well, so we do have to keep that in mind as well.
Where are they? Let's see.
But
Um,
overall, all of the matches seem to be having a pretty close. I'm literally going through these like matches, like quickly checking the scores and seeing everything. But it seems that every match has, or is playing for that third position. To be honest, like final one to check the 8th one. Is there anything in here? Now everybody's playing for third, so
Okay.
basically we can
yeah.
choose maybe one of the upper bracket matches. I guess we can go for the. Which one can we go for, to be honest?
Which one was with?
It's very hard to see because some of them... I believe we can maybe go for... Let's go... Where's the point score a bit more closer in this part? You know what? Let's go for Archer and Nats here in the first one. Because Nats is gonna go into finalist mode at the moment here. So Archer has to do some denying on his part.
I'm actually interested to see Random beat out Nats. Personally, I would have predicted Charles and Nats to go through in those top 2 spots and move further on. But Random, he is a bit of a dark horse when it comes to the NCSA region. He's a really good player, but usually when he goes up against those like absolute top caliber players in the region is when he starts to not fumble, but like fall behind, So it's honestly pretty cool to see him beat out Nats in this case.
I mean, you say that as well, but Random at the moment, from the 22 players that came to the tournament, Random is third in the seedings, so right behind Neal and Jumpy, and average tempo on the times is faster than Nats as well. So if we go by statistics and numbers, it is actually Charles and Random to be more favored in this regard, so at least by numbers. Nats is now hoping to get that third position unless Archer now decides to do otherwise. Warm-up is not looking so hot for Archer. Archer definitely is much more of a better matchup for Nats here. Nats does have the upper hand, but Corian is always a bit of a tricky tale when we get to the actual live rounds. So
yeah,
it'll take a bit of a time. Archer has to win twice in a row to get third position though.
Yeah, he's gonna have to play spoiler here to Nats quite a bit, which is easier said than done. He is, one of the better players in the South American region. There we go. I mean, this is Nats' opportunity. Mephisto holds his fate in his hands. I guess not really that big of a fate because they're just playing for seeding in the lower bracket, but still.
I mean, it could be either a bit easier match in the lower bracket, or it could be a bit more difficult match in the lower bracket. At the moment, Nats is doing a very good job of keeping a hold of his lead. It is a good lead, but it can go immediately just disappear in an instant on this track. But of course, I always wonder what players play with their hot on and which players don't. I personally play with hot on. I prefer to have the information on my hand. I don't have to press any extra buttons.
Yeah, right.
Less to really think about as well, and everything. And honestly, it is. But Archer also touches the wall. They are gonna be neck and neck going into this section.
That has more speed.
It's gonna come down to the wire. Nats has the better line, and he actually gets saved because Archer touches in the end.
No.
Oh, what a close affair. But Archer had the opportunity there, but just as Nats fumbled, Archer immediately did the same thing.
Unbelievable. I say that, and I know my region better than most. It's totally believable. That I would be shocked if that didn't happen. Let's be real here. Oh dear. Sometimes everything just falls into line a little bit too well, and you wouldn't believe it if it was scripted, right? But either way, that was actually the last of the matches finishing up for that round. So I think we're gonna go to a short break while they figure out the final round for today. There's gonna be a lot more tomorrow, but this will be the last one for today. So don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back after this short break. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. If you've read the title, you know the series that we're about to witness: Lingo versus South America. Let's just hop straight into it. The pre-match warm-up is just going on, so let's head in game.
Yeah, because we always love the fact that, as soon as the fourth player joins, the competition tool decides, you know what, you had 8 minutes and it's now 20 seconds. Take it or leave it. But, that's the classic case as well. I was wondering when it's going to happen, and it immediately happened. So, but yeah, it's a absolute a barn burner as well. The other upper bracket is equally as stacked as well, but we couldn't. We have given a fair bit of love to the North American side today as well, and this was a perfect opportunity to see all of the remaining South Americans, apart from Nats, who's in the lowers, but everybody else, the other three South Americans are in the upper bracket match against Lingo of all people as well. So, the storylines will write themselves.
Basically, and I mean, if there's ever a match that Lingo can't sandbag the first half of, it's probably going to be this one, because none of these South American players are pushovers by any stretch of the imagination, right? Charles and Noiszia are in the top 5 just about every single map for this tournament, and then Rookie is really no slouch either. My guess is, I could only see the top 5, but my guess is he's probably in the top 10 of just about every single map here as well. We are going to be starting off on a different map, not Emerald this time, but we will see it eventually. But we're on Garlic Bread to start this one off.
Yeah, that is true. And all of these 4 players were qualified, as we see an early mistake by Lingo, so the South Americans get the glory. But all of these 4 players qualified from their respective tournaments. These South American players qualified from their respective tournaments, of course, with a bit of a caveat for Rookie, of course, with Lele and Manox not being able to participate. But still, technically, on a technicality, all of these 4 players have qualified from their respective tournaments. So this is definitely an all-out brawl, and Charles is definitely the man, I feel, to beat throughout this tournament. He beat Manox, and I feel like he's looking to take even more from the Pan American tournament as well, and rightly so, because at the moment he's taking first position in the first round, and it is Noiszia second, Rookie third, and Lingo in fourth. The classic case of Lingo doing the same thing. If it worked the first time around, why wouldn't it work the second time?
Because these players are way higher caliber, with the exception of Neal, another Damascus gaming player. But he still has some Damascus to fight here, some demons to fight, in terms of Charles being the newest addition to Damascus as well. And you could see he's immediately taking the lead pretty demandingly. Okay, well, Rookie and Lingo are in the mud, but Noiszia and Charles are feeling pretty confident up in that first and second place. And again, they got these exact positions in the previous round as well, so they're looking to get ahead of the competition pretty fast in this series.
Yeah, and also something that is fair to say as well, because Charles also, there was the monthly cup as well, or the community cup that was just earlier in the day as well, and he was actually in the top 8 there as well, against the likes of some amazing players, but Noiszia is the one to defeat him this round, because Charles is a bit of a fumble towards that part as well, and gives his fellow countrymen, as Charles is writing in all caps gear ? Clearly did not find it in that grass section.
Well, now him and Noiszia are tied up for that first place spot. Now granted, we're only 2 rounds into this, so anything can happen. If Lingo can come back from a 30-something point deficit, anything can happen. We're still on the first map. Points limit still 120. It's going to be the case for the entirety of today, and this is the last round of today. Who just utterly died? Was that Rookie?
Charles.
No, that was Charles. Okay, so he's not going to get first this time around. Or second, probably. I don't know. We'll see. But Noiszia still up there consistently in the lead. Feeling pretty good so far. But Lingo keeping it, XCD free for now.
Well, it is so far free. He is in last position, but it is Noiszia giving every opportunity. It's like it's basically what it writes. The last time they were on it wasn't garlic bread, it was the other map. It
Bioreactor?
was the bioreactor. Everybody just completely just decided to die and give
Oh
Lingo
my
all the
god,
10
Lingo!
points.
Yo!
And Lingo just absolutely sent it into the finish block there as well. Didn't need to, but it gives him those extra few tenths to get the best time in the round, and that is what matters at the end of the day. And look at, all of a sudden, like nothing's happened. It's a close race, 20, 19, 16 and 14 points respectively on the board, and it is a close affair, just like that. But like you said, it's just the early rounds, and Lingo already off to a better start probably than he had in the previous match, but that is just saying it with a grain of salt, as because anything can just justifiably happen right in this turn already. But everybody is keeping it clean, which is quite nice for us.
Lingo and Rookie falling a little bit further behind, but not unrecoverable, just they gotta push. And actually, speaking of pushing, Lingo immediately back up there, almost into the fray. You can see Charles and Noiszia basically on top of each other. Charles cuts ahead a little bit. Rookie still trailing by half a second from the absolute lead, maybe a quarter second from Noiszia right now. Goes for the inside approach, doesn't quite get the speed he needs. Lingo doesn't have enough speed to overtake as well. The positions stay the same. Rookie with a .666 behind Charles. I don't know if that's cursed or blessed. I guess we'll find out this next round, because I think this is the last round of Garlic Bread. Maybe,
yep,
we'll see.
It is one.
Yep.
This was indeed the final round as well. The point scores might say otherwise. Nobody even got up to 30, but it was a mixed bag of everything. But we move on to Golden Hour, of all things. And Golden Hour, the world record is held by Noiszia, 56.922. Unless I haven't double checked if anybody's beaten any world records. I doubt anybody has. It is the first day, we gotta keep it towards the second day. That's where the world records start to get beaten. But these are a lot more optimized, of course, as well, compared to the other tournaments. I believe if there's any opportunity to get any world records done, I feel like maybe the newer maps as well, they haven't been maybe pushed to the very limits quite yet. But we'll have to wait and see. There's still room for improvement on all of these tracks, whether they can squeeze out. I'm still waiting for Korean sub 102. So that is still on the bingo card. The rest we'll have to wait and see. But for the time being, we'll have to wait and see what Golden Hour brings us.
And about 20 seconds remaining. I love watching the creative ways these players find abilities to crash where you'd never expect them to, just in the warm-up, hopefully just in the warm-up. You hate to see it in the rounds, unless you're a competitor and hoping for a specific lineup in the bracket. Dummy. But here we go. Enough goofing around. Rookie has a little bit of catching up to do. Charles has a little bit of a lead, but that can evaporate very fast. Even Rookie can catch up in a singular round right now, but this might be the map to start to differentiate and create a gap between the front runners.
Yeah, that is indeed true, but usually they say if you have a good warm-up, you're gonna have a bad round, and Lingo had a pretty good warm-up, so he's already finding himself a bit further behind as well.
Oh, Charles!
Charles goes a bit too early in that corner, giving away the position, and it is Noiszia to take the lead. The world record holder himself is finding himself in first position. Lingo is in hot pursuit. Hasn't fallen that far behind, actually, from his early little fumble. It is quite close in contention, but if Noiszia is full sending it, it's very hard to catch up in towards this very end. But Lingo with a very good line, but the gap is not closing. Noiszia is holding very firmly on to that, and unless he goes absolutely firmly incorrectly in this final jump, which he should not do, and there it is, first position for him, 10 points. Lingo gets second, Rookie is third, and Charles will make his way to third position, only with a measly 3 points, but still keeps him in up the top end. But Lingo is still looming close by.
Well, they're keeping it close at the very least. I think Rookie's starting to fall a little bit behind. A few too many third and fourth places, not enough, second, first places. That can be rectified, though. Still not unrecoverable. Speaking of unrecoverable, Noiszia actually does recover from that decently well. A little bit of a wall touch there. Charles not making the same mistake twice. Noiszia with a lot of speed coming in from the wide line, hoping to get back up into the fray. I don't know if he plays with HUD and cars on and whatnot, But Charles and Lingo keeping it pretty stable up in those top 2 positions. Okay, well, yeah, Charles less stable than maybe he would have liked.
Yeah, but this is a perfect opportunity for Lingo to get the 10 pointers on the board, and Rookie is also in second position. No, do mine in mind. So if Lingo now finishes in first position, does the math, and it will be equal with Noiszia on points as well, and a very solid time by Lingo as well, all things considered. So it just goes to show what Charles was on a good pace as well, but that fortunate touch on the wall is where it went all wrong, and all of a sudden Lingo shares the top 2 spots, top 2 positions with Noiszia, and it is Charles who is not finding his ground quite yet, or at least not the firm ground that we've seen him to be. Usually very confident. Rookie is the one who's probably have to take the backstage again. It's again the three musketeers so far. It's been the story of today. Basically, the 3 helmsmen to run the race. Charles
no.
running helm deep into that pole and leaving Lingo and Noiszia up in front.
Listen, man. If there's one thing I know about Charles, it's that Manox is sometimes his kryptonite both on the track and in the editor, and that seems to be the case here, because Manox isn't even in this tournament. He couldn't make it for whatever reason. But Lingo and Noiszia are having a much better time. Rookie and Charles in the mud this round, just take the 3 and 4 points and deal with it. But Noiszia looking to reassert himself in that first place. He'll get another 4 points on top of Lingo. But he's still breathing down his neck. Like, this is pretty darn close for, at the very least, those top 2 spots currently.
Yeah, very great race in the end as well. Solid times for rounds as well. 0.4 is in golden hour is a very nice one as well. Charles is simply... I feel like, yeah, you might be onto something as well. That, Manox has been a very big kryptonite for him for a very long time. He did beat him, but, the boogeyman is still in the tournament in the likes of this track. But for the time being, Charles just needs to get some good footing. If there's one thing, it differs for players, of course. Some players, for me, example, if I want it to go wrong, I would rather have it go wrong early than towards the latter ends where I do need to be playing well. So if Charles is having a bit of struggle to begin with, his caliber of player is where he has the time, he has the pace, so he can definitely catch up, and he's doing rightly so with Noiszia in a hot pursuit.
Almost neck and neck. He has like about 1/10 of a buffer away from Noiszia. Noiszia is looking to overtake. He's going for the early drift, but I think Charles has it better. Noiszia risked too much, has to go for the safe finish, and might not even get second. He gets last! Unfortunate there from Noiszia. He's going to fall a little bit further behind, but a much-needed
Nice
10 points.
Nice time as well, a 57.1. That was a very high speed round, and Noiszia was also very close to Charles, so both were on a massive pace. But we move on to Emerald, where we go from one record holder from Noiszia from the previous track to the other record holder. Charles holds the world record on Emerald with a 54.138. So definitely, I will say that the South Americans have definitely been getting the world records on the track. The only North American world record is on Bioreactor by Nixotica. So even Garlic Bread is held by Noiszia. So definitely the time attacking capabilities are on South American side. For the time being, the round situation, on the other hand, is barely in Noiszia's favor.
Certainly, I mean, you can see the top 3. Rookie's trailing a little bit. Still not unrecoverable, but he's gonna have to start getting more first places at this point. Even second place might not catch him up as much as he needs. Lingo, Noiszia, and Charles, however, they're probably by the end of this map going to start differentiating each other, at least from one of the pack. I doubt all 3 of them are going to be that close by the end of Emerald.
Yeah, that is definitely true. I mean, it's one of those moments now we'll see. This could be actually one of those tracks where somebody could just get like 3 rounds in a row, get 3 first places, and get a very solid cap when we go on to the next tracks. But for the time being, at least, we'll have to wait and see if Noiszia or Charles can get that lead going, or has Lingo something else to say. Lingo again gets the slower start, but then uses that extra bit of speed from the dirt outside to go back into the lead. So Charles and Noiszia trailing behind them for the time being. Rookie also 0.4 behind, so it is Charles and Noiszia to try and catch up to the Canadian up in front.
You can see the top three neck and neck, but it's really this half pipe and what comes after that really starts to differentiate in the times, although Lingo is the only one who seems to have gotten a little bit of purchase from it. Really only one more dirt turn. Lingo touches, so that allows Charles to get up in the lead. He has a little bit of an awkward line, but Noiszia isn't close enough, and that's going to be Lingo falling down to third place. Otherwise, the positions stay the same.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Charles got a 0.5, so Lingo again, very good. He was on a good time. I believe he was on a 0.3, which was a very impressive rounds time as well. So it was looking very good for him indeed. But for the time being, he has to suffice for third position. Went a bit too deep, and those dirt blocks, if you catch one of those bumps there, it's an immediate death basically, unless you get a bit more luckier or the bump is not that severe. But for the time being, it is Lingo again in the lead. Charles and Noiszia this time a bit closer, but as soon as I say that, it is Charles who clips the inside, leaving Noiszia to fight Lingo up in front. And Rookie is also a bit closer this time around, so maybe able to snatch a few more points if he maybe gets a bit of a riskier quarter pipe.
He doesn't. No, that's very safe. I was gonna say he doesn't seem to risk there too much, and maybe risking wasn't quite the play either way because Charles is gonna overtake for that third place spot as it currently stands. Who's gonna take first? Noiszia will actually steal first away. Had a little bit more speed up into the ramp there. You can see from Charles's perspective, but yeah, no, the points surprisingly are kind of stable still. Noiszia is a little bit ahead, but that's one round difference, right? They can easily come back. Charles and Lingo can. Rookie, again, still needs to start catching up. Needs some first places now. Second place isn't going to help.
Yeah, that is definitely true. I mean, currently with the point scores being so close, they're gonna be swinging about like a roller coaster back and forth constantly, because if other gets the 10-pointer, then the other gets the 10-pointer. They will keep switching all the time, so we'll have to wait and see. This time Noiszia is falling a bit further behind. It is Charles now this time to face Lingo. So it's always Lingo against somebody, and this time it is Charles to take up the mantle. Noiszia was able to do it. Can Charles do it as well? Or Lingo this time is able to get a 10-pointer on the board, which has eluded him throughout these rounds, and seems that Charles is not going to be any more of a friend to him, and he does take first position with a 0.2 as well. Very good time as well, and Lingo still holds on to second position. Good times in these rounds. The pace is definitely ramping up on Emerald for sure. It is a very nice flow map as well, so if you get into the groove of it, it sort of drives itself. It is the quarter pipe that does the difference in most cases, but if you get it decently right, these rounds can get very spicy towards the very end.
Funnily enough, it doesn't really feel like a lot of these players are risking the half pipe. They're just going for like a safe middle ground. Rookie, of course, is going like way higher, and that's losing him at least 2/10, maybe a little bit more than that. But you can see he's starting to like lose purchase there in that quarter pipe. Otherwise, it's pretty solid. I mean, even coming up to the quarter pipe, he was a quarter second behind. The second I swap to the camera, he's on two wheels sliding on the dirt. But yeah, you can see here everyone kind of goes like more neutral, not too risky, not too safe. But Noiszia will bonk the little scaffolding, I don't know what you call that, but Charles and Lingo fight. Okay, so Charles got first place at the very least. Noiszia reclaimed second. Lingo is relegated down to fourth.
Yeah, he got chucked a bit too wide from that dirt exit, and then it left him no space whatsoever to turn right towards the finish, and leaves him on 69 points on purpose. Who knows?
Of course.
But we'll have to maybe ask him at some point. But regardless, it is Charles and Noiszia actually now having a slight gap for our time being. But we are moving on to Korean.
Yeah, well, it's really hard to say what might happen on this map because I've seen all these players besides maybe Rookie. I don't think we saw a ton of him on Cryan, and the one time we did, he had like the most tragic possible clip at the
Oh,
what was
yes,
it, the
I
winners
remember, yeah.
winners final, or the lower bracket finals in South American Cup.
Correct. It was the lower bracket final, and Rookie was about to finish and get into the grand final, and then a Korean ending happened. And,
Rookie, if you're listening, I'm sorry we keep bringing this up, but it was such a moment.
it's a pivotal moment in the South American Cup. For those interested, I'm sure there's a clip of it somewhere.
The VOD is still up, I know that.
On the VOD, or it has been clipped. I'm positively sure somebody clipped that moment. It is a tough pill to swallow, but you know, it's character building, it's character development, and you know, it's not gonna happen again, hopefully.
Well, I mean, Leleo Faraz isn't here this time, so he can't snipe him away, but someone else might be able to. Now is the time for it to happen, if it ever were to. Rookie certainly has some catching up to do, so maybe it'll happen to someone else, and he can play the part of the sniper.
Well, that is to be seen now as everybody is getting through the track. No fumbles to begin with. Rookie does find himself a bit behind. Definitely is the one that will struggle with the pace.
Oh.
Lingo is the one to fumble, and because of him being sent wide from the little clip there, it also loses him out in the third entry as well. So that is not looking good. So Rookie does find himself in third position. He's eyeing up the competition up in front, but this is a perfect opportunity for Charles and Noiszia to get away from Lingo as well, because these points are gonna be valuable. But as soon as I say hibbity hobbity, Charles is now basically a bunny jumping across the track, but giving Lingo their position.
I was watching that from Rookie's perspective. I don't even know what Charles was doing there. It looked like he had a perfectly fine line right up until he didn't. But yeah, Noiszia is just going to walk this one in. Rookie gets a much-needed 6 points. Lingo with 4. Charles pulling up the rear. Maybe don't do that one again. You know, the airtime is not ideal, and that much airtime is certainly lethal to any prospective run.
That's gonna be a tough task indeed. I mean, 0.5, a very, very solid round time as well. Anything below 0.5 is absolutely, honestly, a stellar job as well. There was a bit of a awkward.
What is happening?
And Charles is completely dead as well. It's one of the cases again where they're like, you know what? We have a gap to Lingo. What is the best strategy we can pull off? I know. We just give Lingo 10 points. He's back in business.
We just
it's
throw.
The strategy of this tournament, apparently.
Well, you know, Yek is watching in chat. He just has to give his coach a heart attack. It's just tradition at this point.
I mean, that's basically what it's probably all about anyway. But, you know, everybody's trying to catch up to, you know, Rookie is, you know, close, somewhat. It's basically Lingo's to lose at this point, you know. It's basically him against.
Rookie, no. No.
As well, so it is Noiszia to struggle here as well. So Lingo, unless he pulls an absolute mare here, I don't.
There's
think
nothing
it
else to
will
clip.
happen. Yeah, there's just nothing else. There's a clean 10-pointer. That's how it is done, and that's how he just gets back into it. Basically, I mean, he's still a bit off. You know, he gets to 83 while Charles will be on 89 and Noiszia on 91. But it's one of those rounds where it's just sort of given to Lingo on a silver platter with no real effort needed.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, gotta make a show out of it, I suppose. But, yeah, no. At the very least, Rookie has quite a bit of catching up to do. He's been the one consistent factor, unfortunately for him, where he's just constantly in 4th place. Against these players, it's not too surprising. These are some of, if not the best players in the Americas that he's up against, and Rookie is just kind of like on that very next like half tier below them, I would say. But he has that potential to play the Dark Horse, just not really coming out, even though there's been a lot of crashes to give him points here and there.
That is true as well. Hey, if anything he can do is, you know, Rookie can go into the prestigious scope of Authortime and Dummy, basically, because he's the one that has to just sort of linger in 4th position while the top 3 get in front. So, you know, it's a prestigious club. You know, only a few select members can get into it, and at the moment every select member is trying to make sure that Lingo gets another 10-pointer and closes that gap ever so more. And I think he's on a pretty decent time as well. 0.4, definitely at the fastest time so far and that gap closes ever so more. Noiszia still keeps on to second, so Charles is bleeding points here and puts him level with Lingo.
That's a dangerous position to be in, especially as we're only, like 30, maybe 20 points, 21 points for Noiszia away from that finalist spot. Lingo gets more dangerous the closer he gets to finalists, so it's getting a little bit dicey here. Well, the Canadian is making a lot of mistakes here on Karayan. We've only got one, maybe two more rounds of this map before maybe heading over to something that's a bit more favorable. Have we seen Bioreactor this series? I don't remember.
Nope, and not to my memory. So I think that is the next map. If things are going, if my memory serves me right, but at least Charles and Noiszia are doing well. Rookie, not so much. He has a very tough respawn, so he has to double go again because he wasn't expecting that such a respawn to get there. But Charles, Noiszia, keep it clean. Charles, Lingo touches the wall as well a bit, so it is actually the front two here. Can Charles pull the same miracle he did against Manox? And he exactly does. Beats him to the line. I believe Charles also won the South American Cup on this very map as well, and in a similar fashion when he was playing against Manox.
I think Manox clipped, but I don't remember, honestly. I'd have to go back. Everything from that weekend is a blur, aside from a specific few crashes. The one that sticks out in my head the most was actually Tankrom from NAC on Manox's map, but, either way, we are going to be heading over to Bioreactor. I think that's the 5th map of the bunch. This is the only one we haven't seen, if memory serves, but again, everything melts together in my head. If there were ever a time to get the hell out of the lobby before Lingo fully wakes up, it would be this map.
Yeah, but this is now a different situation, Last time, in the previous match, Lingo was 30-odd points behind. Currently, Lingo is right in the mix of things as well. Only one round to win away from basically coming back to equal terms with Charles to some degree as well. So, but this is a track now where all gloves are off, because this was a track also where Lingo just miraculously just started winning out of nowhere. This is where the 30-point thing started to come in. I believe in the previous match he got 30. At least 3 round wins. I don't know what the other round was, but he did get 3 round wins on this, so this could be a good point haul as well. And keep in mind, it is 120 points, so it is very likely a huge, very high possibility that we might see a finalist out of this round. Will we see somebody actually close it out? That's a tough ask, because you do kind of have to win every single round to do so.
Well, the round is starting just in time for Neal's raid to come on in. I would assume that means Neal has either won out his match or at the very least it has finished in some regard, otherwise he wouldn't stop streaming. Well, Lingo immediately touches the wall. So welcome, Raiders. You can see the hilarity that is this series so far.
Yeah, but Charles also equally on similar terms does the same odd choice as well. So it is actually Rookie for the time being enjoying a bit of the time in the lead, as Noiszia is trying to catch up to him. So currently looking pretty good. Ooh, Lingo doesn't have the best. Noiszia also. It's actually Rookie looking to go for his first actual round win on the track. So could be very good points, and if anything, it just makes the life of the other 3 a bit more complicated. So it's gonna be a tough task. So far, looking calm, cool, collected. The gap doesn't seem to close as well, so seems to be very cool and very comfortable at the moment. Nice lead as well. A very decent time as well, 102.3. Not the fastest time you can derive on Bioreactor, but it does work, and it is his first round win. So hey, it is now off the cards as well, out of the way now. But the other 3 are all now on triple digits.
Well, it's gonna start getting dicey. If Noiszia wins this round, he's gonna get that finalist spot. Charles and Lingo still have 2 round wins each before they would get there. So there is a possibility that we might only see 1 finalist coming out of this map, depending on Rookie and Noiszia's performances here. But we're going to have to wait and see. Right now, Rookie trailing by just a little bit, but he is within striking distance. Lingo does touch the wall, so he's probably going to fall out of it. Actually, not too far. He's only about 0.2 away from Rookie, and he's going for a much more aggressive line. He wants to get back into the fray.
Yeah, he wants to get back close again, but it's very hard to win any time towards this latter part of the track because there isn't much that can go wrong towards the end, because this is now basically the ending part here. If this third turn here, and then you go into the reactor part after this. So it is Charles and Noiszia. Can Charles deny Noiszia the finalist mode? Indeed he can, with a 0.775. Very nice times by both players as well. Lingo gets only 3 points. Rookie was able to hold out towards the end. So two players are neck and neck. Now, mathematically, there is still a possibility that Charles cannot get finalist out of this round. But he has to be last for him to do so. Noiszia is guaranteed finalist as long as he just finishes. So it is basically now Lingo's last opportunity to get a 10-pointer before we move on to the next set of well, the next map as well. But I believe there's maybe one more round here.
I think this is the third round.
Yeah, it's one more round after this, so it would be the perfect opportunity for Lingo to get a 10-pointer on the board, and he's looking for a good round as well. Not the best exit from that section, but you can sort of let it slide for that one, but he would love to be in first at the moment. He's still keeping up in pace, and it's gonna come down to the wire again.
Right now, Lingo and Charles up ahead of him. You can see Noiszia with a very different line for the drift, going for the late approach. Charles, it gets a little bit too well acquainted. A wicked way to get back up to it, but he is still going to be in fourth place. Noiszia currently in first. He would love to deny some points from Charles and Lingo, and it looks like he's going to do just that. He didn't need first place, but he wanted first place, so he's going to deny quite a few points in general. And Charles, like we said, is at 119, probably the most tragic number possible.
I said it. There is a outcome that is very much possible. One more opportunity for Lingo. If Lingo wins this round, it is triple finalist going into a map switch. Rookie out of it. So it is basically in the hands of Lingo and Charles to decide who gets if Lingo gets finalist or not. Lingo needs first in order to do so, and we go into triple finalist. I believe for the first time today. I'm trying to remember. Noiszia is really out of it at the moment. He's trying to keep up, but at least the one section where you can make a mistake and slightly get away with it is there, but he's falling ever so further behind. And it is basically now again a 1v1 between Lingo and Charles. Lingo had the better of him last time when he put him under pressure, but Charles is pushing it. But how far can he push? Lingo is the one to
Noiszia!
And he doesn't even make the jump, so Charles is gonna be the one. Noiszia DNFs as well?
He's already finalist. He doesn't care about denying points, I guess.
Could have denied some points, honestly.
Yeah,
should
have
at the moment, especially when Lingo is in the match. But it works, I guess, to be honest.
He shouldn't have DNF'd, but he did, so that's the world we live in. Lingo, well, actually, he needs second place at the very least to hit the finalist himself, so they have a little bit of wiggle room, but not much. Like, give it halfway through this next map, which is... Oh, we're back to garlic bread. So, Noiszia and Charles are already in finalists. It could end in just 2 rounds. But, it could also drag out quite a bit. I would imagine we're going to see both first and second place by the end of this map. That's just my guess, unless Rookie starts really pulling out all the stops, I say, as he crashes into the pole in the start line. But, warm-up. Bad warm-up equals good rounds, surely.
That is usually what the saying goes, but it's basically now the case of Lingo needs to deny. He has one, he can give one position away, he can give Noiszia or Charles the win and get second position and go into finalist mode. He would be perfectly fine with it. In an ideal world, of course, he can come first, have a triple finalist, and win again, basically. So, all things considered. But I don't, honestly, the one thing that doesn't feel good to me at the moment is what I read in chat by Noiszia. Is basically the sentence he writes, "This map is actually unplayable." WTF. So this doesn't breed much confidence in Noiszia, who says that as well. So good luck. Hopefully it doesn't go bad.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Noiszia did come out of the first couple of maps in the lead, right? So if there's any hope, there is some with that. I think Rookie's falling a little bit behind. He had a clip pretty early on, so he's got a little bit of catching up to do. But the other three are neck and neck, and I think Lingo wants to start playing spoiler. Now, as you said, Lingo's ideal world, he's going to get a triple finalist situation and then just close it out. In my ideal world, Rookie starts playing spoiler. Okay, well, Noiszia is going for some alternative lines. Anyways, in my ideal world, we'd have a quadruple finalist. But I don't think that's quite going to happen. But we do have Charles trying to close it out here.
He's trying to close out, but it's going to come down to this final. Who gets the better inside line? Both have it quite equal, but Lingo has the better line. He has the speed, and it is triple finalist to decide who goes here. Does Lingo defeat South America, or does Charles or Noiszia have something to say about it? Now, this is basically 2 rounds. Well, unless Rookie has an exceptional few set of rounds, it's basically probably gonna be the next 2 rounds to decide who goes into the upper bracket finals tomorrow, and has a long rest, because tomorrow there will be 3 lower bracket matches before we get to the upper bracket finals to begin with. So it's gonna be a long rest before we get to that match as well. So, and we see already Noiszia has fallen a bit behind, and Charles and Lingo again take the helm of this match.
Well, Noizia's good fortune the first time in this series on this map doesn't seem to quite be paying off. Now, of course, Lingo, tempo player. Okay, well, Charles almost going for the Noiszia line. I don't know how he survived up until that point. Like, obviously there was a crash. Well. Yeah, so, okay, Lingo is just going to defeat the entire continent of South America. Rookie, he's just battling for second place right now. Did Lingo get a slowdown? He might have gotten a small one, but either way, he remains in first. He's going to be securing his spot in the upper bracket finals. Charles just DNFs. There's not any points to deny anyways. Rookie already finished. So that's going to be Lingo coming back from third place to claim the first. So now it's really Lingo, between Charles and Noiszia.
Yeah, Lingo has only seen upper bracket. Has never heard of this term guard lower bracket. Doesn't even... I don't think it's in his dictionary, to be honest. I didn't see lower bracket in the North American Cup, and it won't be seen for today as well. Still absolutely, well, semi-undefeated. If we blink, he did get beaten in the previous match technically, but, you know, he's still in the upper bracket. But we see that Charles and Noiszia are the ones to now decide who will be the second position. Now, Charles, it would be kind of ironic, of course, if he would be the one to fall here now. At the moment, Noiszia is the one who's been the shakier one, so... it should be in Charles's bag, but if anything is to go by from the previous round, it can go wrong in an instant. But it seems that this time Charles is much more confident than Noiszia, and it's looking to close out in a very comfortable fashion, as Charles will be coming in, will be securing second position, and moving alongside Lingo to the upper bracket final, as Noiszia and Rookie will find themselves in the lowers.
Now, I believe we are still going to play for third. Rookie has to deny quite a bit in order to claim that third place. Both Noiszia and Rookie are going to be going down to the lower bracket, in which I say good luck literally everyone else who's currently still alive in the lower bracket, because I think these two players are making it to the lower bracket finals, if I'm being real with you.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good path for Noiszia as well. Still, it seems that Noiszia definitely doesn't have any sort of fun with this track. I personally like it. It is, when like I said previously, it definitely grew on me, but definitely hasn't grown for Noiszia. But given the fact that Rookie is so far behind, even if Noiszia maybe doesn't like the track so much, he has plenty of skill and talent to hold out in this round. Generally, honestly, looking to be a very good run as well, all things considered, to be honest.
Yeah, keeping it safe, keeping it clean. Even a release is there because why not? You just need the line. Goes for the safe finish. I don't feel like that's too much disrespect. They just want out at this point. They're already going down to the lower bracket. This was the final round of the day. Either way, I don't know if anything else is going on. We can double check.
Yeah, we can
see.
check. Surely there's some other matches as well. I mean, even the upper bracket, the second match is still underway.
Supposedly Neal got first. I know
Double
Nix was also.
In between Random and Nixotica.
Oh, wait,
and Bad PC Gamer is second. Oppala, what happened here? Holy moly, Nixotica is in the lower brackets. Bad PC Gamer is second. We missed probably another thriller for that second position.
Damn, okay. That's interesting. Bad PC Gamer. Guaranteed, what would that be? Top 8, I guess, right?
That is correct, because he goes into the upper bracket finals, and from there he goes into the lower bracket final as well. If he loses out, one of the two will be there. So absolutely insane indeed. So it's basically between Random and Nixotica to decide the third place. We're still gonna watch
Nix
it out.
isn't driving, but yeah. Oh wait, no, it's warm up. It's warm up. It's warm up. We're good. We're good. Okay.
Almost.
Whew.
I had a moment there, almost. But here we go. Oh, that was a close one though. You almost casted the warm up there, but you just got.
I was never gonna start casting. I saw that Nix was not driving. I was like, wait, what? But no, I didn't see the orange timer. We're good though. Interesting thing to bring up here as well is that like Nixotica pretty consistently makes it to the grand finals of these kinds of events, even like Duo Cup, right? But it feels like he never is getting that first place spot, like at the end of the tournament, right? And it feels like that's just kind of his story right now. He's always on the podium, never quite at the very top of it. And I'd like to see that story come full circle and like actually have him win out, because everyone knows how good he is, right? But he just kind of chokes at the wrong times, and this might have been one of those circumstances. I don't know, maybe Bad PC Gamer just drove like world record 3 times in a row and stole it out, but that is going to be Nick stealing third place here. Random, you saw, had a little bit of a slide out in the water. So yeah, interesting developments here. So the lower bracket's going to get a few jump scares from people sent from these upper bracket semis.
Yeah, that is indeed true. I'm checking the other matches as well, if there's any developments we can go by here as well. In the other match as well, I believe there is a case to be made. I just joined one of the games. We do see that Randomize and Nats were the ones to go through. From their match as well. So I
don't know where CD went.
Yeah. I don't know where CD is gone as well, so
might have disconnected
as well, so we might have to see as well. The other match, I believe there's one other match that is sort of ongoing as well. There is Uchimas and Peanuts Joker, but that is also coming to a close, where Uchimas will be going in third position and Jumpy and Archer were first and second. So that also closed out as well. So we only have this one match now. As well as, and Randomize in chat already saying day 2, baby. That is indeed day 2. But I'm wondering what is happening in the other match.
So, CD just came back in right now. It seems like they weren't... Raceland seems to have not been driving, waiting for CD, so a little bit of good sportsmanship there, I guess, is CD with a plus 152.
They might want to actually, DNF and just get going.
It
seems, because it does it is the lower brackets as well, so technically they are knocked out of the tournament, but it is one of those cases that if they want to play, they do decide in game as well. They will DNF and decide who will be third. Gentlemanly agreement, they're out of the tournament. But we will provide it out till the bitter end to decide who's better, at least in the standings. Boost up those stats, because it still puts you in a higher standing compared to the other, and CD is finalist, and Reislin, unfortunately, does find himself one of the players who actually, technically was from the top 8 qualifiers, is gonna be out of the tournament.
Oh, but CD clips the little pole. Manox has quite a field day watching this, I'm sure, as everyone just clips everywhere. That's the that's the identity of this map, really.
Yep, that's how it goes, but it is it gives us an opportunity to have
Oh,
one more
Reislin.
round.
Reislin? No,
But
no.
Reislin touches the ball and CD's back in business.
Oh, no.
Or as would randomize say, back in business, baby, but not anymore. So and Reislin gets first position.
Yeah, not quite enough speed there. Reislin just had a better drift. CD is going to have to deal with a double finalist position. Again, like, the stakes are gone at this point. They're both out, but, like, pad the stats. Say you got, what would this be? 16th instead of 15th or something, you know what I mean? Somewhere around there.
If I have to think about it for a moment, but I think it should be. I mean, it will give you like a little bit of an edge. I think it's probably one of those cases where it's like 13th to 14th compared to 15th and 16th. Maybe I don't know how I'm just trying to think it out on the spot because Reislin is trailing a fair bit compared to CD. CD will have a bit of an awkward line there, but still holds on to the lead very comfortably. Reislin goes inside there. Doesn't
not the
have
best
that much
gear.
speed there, so CD still holds on to the lead for very comfortably, but coming and swinging, and all of a sudden it's equal.
Not quite equal for long. Reislin has better speed going into the section, and CD will slide out, and Reislin just has to walk it in, really. He could go safe finish if he wanted to. I don't know if he should. Maybe practice makes perfect. I don't know if he plays with HUD on or whatever, but he will close it out. CD is going to be going home. Now he can just worry about adminning the tournament without having to worry about competing as well.
That is true, and we get our quick information as well. The difference is between 17th to 20th or 21st to 24th. So,
there you go. Math.
The difference is there, but that is the final match of the day. And as that concludes the action for day number 1, so that was that is how we ended up on. Honestly, we are going into day number 2 with some surprises, I would say. Not the results that we expected from the upper bracket, that is for sure. Of course, the first matchup between Charles, Noiszia, and Lingo, and Rookie as well, could have gone all kinds of ways, but it was Lingo and Charles to close it out. But I'm honestly very much pleasantly surprised about Bad PC Gamer beating out Nixotica. That's probably the biggest tale to take away from day number 1.
Yeah, I mean, even looking back at the standings, Bad PC Gamer last time around got 15th. Like, he did pretty good, but I think he fell out into the lower bracket a bit earlier. This time around, he definitely stepped it up. Like, he looked a lot stronger in terms of pace and consistency. So that's really good to see. Personally, I love seeing stuff like that when someone really just gets it in them to really improve and show up a lot harder. And they showed up pretty hard the first time around in the second season of PATC. So good stuff all around. GG's to everyone who fell out of the lower bracket today. You can tune in tomorrow and just cheer people on, or cheer against people, depending on if they knocked you out or not.
That is definitely true. I mean, overall, yeah, we still have now 16 players left in the tournament. So we have our upper bracket final players unknown. So it is Neal, a Bad PC Gamer, Lingo, and Charles. They have to wait quite a bit as well, because tomorrow we will have 6 games to be played. 3 of them we will start off in the lower bracket to start off the day, and then we move on to the the actual meat of the tournament with the upper bracket finals, the lower bracket final, and the grand final towards the end. Plenty of good names still into play. Who knows what will happen tomorrow, but one thing is for sure, it's gonna be an absolute wild ride as well, and I'm looking forward to see how we will work tomorrow as well. And honestly, best of luck to the 16 that are left remaining.
Yeah, well, anyways, folks, that's all we've got for right now. So be sure to, join the Discord. I'm pretty sure exclamation mark Discord works in the chat if you're not already in that. The NCSA Trekmania server. We do a lot of events like this, a lot of events like Duo Cup that's coming up in a couple of weeks as well. If you'll have another friend that you like the 2v2 format with, follow the Twitch, follow the YouTube, the Twitter, all that good stuff. You could find links somewhere. I know some of those are in the Twitch chat. I don't know how many of them. You could find that out for yourselves. I'm sure the mods would love to do any commands. I'm sure I could see Nats or someone doing it right now. But either way, I think that's all we've got for today. You'll see more of Critty tomorrow and Newlock and potentially randomized. Depends on if he wants to go to the grand finals or not as a player. But this is all you'll be seeing of me in the camera for this weekend. So it's been a blast. Critty, got any closing statements?
Well, the closing statement is the fact that tomorrow is going to be a wild ride, and we'll have to figure out how things will be working. But one thing is for sure, I'm still waiting for that world record to be beat, and it's always happened on day number 2. So I got my eyes on the prize, and I'm sure the players do as well. So thank you for joining for day number 1 of the Pan American Trackmania Championship. Tomorrow, the long drive begins to find out who will be the champion of the Pan American tournament. So keep your clocks ready. Tomorrow, the action continues. Until then, goodbye for now, and have a great one.